Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here. Bet.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's poppin'? Big ups to y'all. Appreciate y'all being in the live on this one, man. Monday, man. We up in this thing. I hope you guys had a productive and very positive Monday on this thing, as we're going to talk a little black and gold on Monday, baby. So shout out to the fam. Appreciate everybody for being in the live. Much love, much love, much love to everybody for you and yours up in this thing. So shout out to the fam. Ron's Flat Power God, shout out to you for being a member, fam, for about 14 months, bro. Shout out to you
very much. Picking me up, backing me back to this world.
All right, big ups to everybody, man. What's popping, fam? How y'all doing, man? Y'all doing all right? That's good to see y'all, man, out there, man. OG Jerry, good to see you in the building as well. Shout out to the Queens. What's up, Desi? What's popping with you? Much love. I am Aviation. Big ups. What's up, Cartel? Pelicans, Nola, Gundam. Brother Gundam's in this thing as well. Good to see you. Brother Willie Garrison's in this thing as well. Good to see everybody, man, doing their thing, man. Man. A lot to talk about on today's show, man. What's up, Eugene? I see you, fam. Appreciate you. V. Griffin is in this thing. Brother Wallace is in this thing. Shout out to Carla. Marley Mall as well. Marley Mall says, if Honey Badger is cut, this proves Mickey doesn't know what he's doing. Well, I mean, hey, brother, we have to rethink that thing. If the Honey Badger, realistically speaking, if the Honey Badger is cut, it's because the Honey Badger does not want to take a pay cut. No restructures. We need to get some of that money back. And of course, it is it is Mickey Lomas's fault because he sold the present or the future out for the present and it didn't work. So instead of taking responsibility for his actions, he backs out of it because nobody keeps these clowns accountable to anything. So he's able to squirm and wiggle his way out of some of this stuff. And look, man, at the end of the day, it's just par for the course when you look at how this team is ran. I mean, really, truly, could we say anything different? Tyrann, if he doesn't want to lose any of his money, he shouldn't have to. Right. And besides, didn't he give them a restructure before? How many restructures are we going to keep doing here? Eventually, you got to stop restructuring and you got to stand on the square and say, okay, man, listen, we can't do any more restructures. We're going to ask you to take a pay cut or be cut. That's what it comes down to. Is what it is. The team needs money to make moves. There is no rebuild unless you get money. Talking about doing rebuilds or whatever you want to call it, because they're not even saying that no more. They're not saying it's a rebuild. There are people saying it's the quickest way to win and all this kind of nonsense and all this rhetoric. All I know is what I've seen from Derek Carr. You won't change my opinion on that with all of this other stuff about Derek Carr. I know who Derek Carr is. Some people got nostalgia about Derek Carr as the quarterback. I know who Derek Carr is. I've got 2 years worth of film on Derek Carr. I know exactly who Derek Carr is. They can't tell me nothing about Derek Carr, and they can't tell you nothing about Derek Carr if you study the tape. We do it on Patreon. We know about Derek Carr, and we know what kind of quarterback he is. We know he's a guy that you can't count on like that. He's making a ton of bread. That's because they were foolish enough to pay him without even having any outs. They basically gave him all of the leverage. What kind of business deal is this? But when I call them out for what they do and the rest of the people give them a pass. Enough of this. Somebody got to check these people when they don't handle their business. What about the failed plan that happened? What about the bad move that Dennis Allen brought? All of this was why we're here today. We just don't appear out of the blue and just here we all pop up like a puff of smoke from nothing. We are here because of bad decision makings over the last several years. That's why we're here. We're here because of bad decision. I ain't do the shit. I'm sitting up here for years telling these people, hey man, this ain't this ain't gonna look good. We need to think about this. And you always supposed to provide an out financially if the deal doesn't work right? You're supposed to provide yourself some insurance policy. If you're the New Orleans Saints, if I sign Derek Carr to $150 million contract, what is my out if this guy fails? What if this doesn't work out? What leverage do we have? The answer is nothing. Well, I just hold on now. I'll just I'll just basil their ass with bullshit and lie. No. All right, Mold. Also, thank you, bro. He said for being a member for 53 months. He says, "Q, Mickey bad contracts are coming out now. You won't get none of them to say that." You heard what Jeff Ireland was saying. I played that on the last show. And people be like, Q, why are you so hard on these? Because they lie and they trash, okay? And I am upset because this team deserves better than the bull crap that we're seeing. Well, you know what? The hell with the team. We deserve better. That's what it comes down to. So pardon me if you got some old girl over there and she cheating and she doing all this stuff running around on it. You gonna stand there and be like, yeah, do that? No, you gonna do something about it. You gonna get there. You gonna put how you go, whatever high it's gonna go. There's gonna be a change. But I'm sick of this, man. I'm tired of the losing, and then you gonna shift to, well, we got Kellen Moore, we about to win. You got 40 something million dollars here. Your best players, which happen to be your oldest players, are the guys with all of the money. So all of these guys are not going to take restructures. They're not going to take pay cuts, which is what they're asking them. Don't think for a second just because they didn't report to you that that they've asked Tyrann Mathieu and some of these other players about taking pay cuts, that they hadn't asked them. They said that about Derek Carr, but do you really think for the second the Saints will go to the quarterback of the team and not go to the rest of the players and ask them, hey man, how about that pay cut? Think about that for a second. If a guy says no, and that's within his rights, hey man, I'll restructure, but I'm not taking no cut. I need all my bread right now. I'm not mad at that man for doing that. I'm not mad at Carr for doing that. Because he didn't put the Saints to the table and say, hey, man, give me everything you got. And then stuck a pistol on them and took it out of their pockets. They willfully gave it up with no leverage. So at the end of the day, I'm hardcore on these people because you need to, man. Shout out to you, Maul. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I'm just sick of it.
Picking me up, bringing me back to this
I'm going to be honest. I'm just sick of it. What's up, Barbara? Shout out to Barbara. Good to see you. I'm just sick of it. What's up, Backwoods? I'm sick of it. Then we going to shift and pivot to this. Oh, we about to have some blue skies in the south. What? You know what? You just get it because we give it all to them. I'm not giving them people no more than what they don't deserve for me to be giving them all this power and energy about what you gonna do. You know what you got to do first? That's what they got to do. And that's only fair. You ain't gonna be, I ain't gonna be no fool for those Saints, man. Why, man? Come on, man. We sit up here for years saying that, man, this don't make sense. This don't make sense. And them guys don't get they don't get any blame for anything. They blame the invisible injury monster for everything. They don't blame nothing else. And I'm sick of that, man. You're gonna have to show me, man, that you can clean this crap up. That's the bottom line. I'm a little peeved, man, because I am. Until I see some successful stuff on the field, I'm not changing my perspective. I don't care about a 1 and 2 game winning streak. You got to show me. This all has to be changed around. I mean, we are a lot smarter than what we used to be just supporting the Saints. Then they raised the ticket prices up on you. We don't play that, man, here. But anyway, shout out to you. Good to see you, man. Much love as well. So the reality is, whether it be Taysom Hill or Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan, it ain't going to be Derek Carr, because Mickey Loomis then basically alluded and said that he's going to be the guy, and family members comment in the section say, Q, he's the surest thing we have as far, the quickest way to win. And how do you know that? How do you know that, mystery commentator or commenter? How do you know that? You mean to tell me they don't have somebody out there in free agency that the Saints could reach to when they get some of this money to kind of, there's nobody out there? I've seen, the reason why I say I've seen Derek Carr on tape for the last 2 years, this would be the third offensive coordinator working with Derek Carr since he's been here. The third guy. And in terms of him overall for his career, it's like, what? He has like 10 people. It got to be like 10 coordinators that he's had in the 12 years that he's been in the league. Yeah, that's crazy. Since he's been the Saints quarterback, he's had 3 different coordinators, 3 different ones. Now, that's not his fault, but I'm just speaking to the fact that there is no offensive stability there, which means every year is a reset. The only way to have any success with Derek Carr is if you have a mean, vicious running attack that you can plug him behind. Clearly a secondary option to the primary, which would be the running attack, and put him into play action. That's the only hope you have. You can't count on nothing else. He has to, because he's a rhythm quarterback that loves to play action. You cannot put him and make him the top guy to lead you anywhere. So I've seen enough tape. All these other people talking all that smack about Derek Carr. Don't believe these people, man. All I know is it's not going to happen that way. Keep that. Y'all stop puffing on the hopium and y'all start living off the realism of what we're seeing and what they're giving you. They're telling you and showing you who they are. Believe them. Believe them when they show you who they are, fam. Believe them. So at the end of the day, that's why I'm on my show me game, man, because in the end, they're not saying it's anything else. They're not saying it's a rebuild, but I'm saying, how are you going to do anything when you don't have any money? We'll just restructure and keep restructuring until you're back in the hole again. And it's crazy. You got idiots like Jeff Ireland running around here praising Mickey Loomis, talking about the team is in great hands. I'm like, are you serious? No, it's not. A sycophant like that sitting up there lying about Mickey. Mickey done a terrible job with the Saints team over the last several years. Terrible job. He's ignorant. He's arrogant. He's not visionary. He's cocky, and he's beyond his depth right now at his age right now. Way beyond his depth. Way beyond his depth. And you have people on top of the team that's not doing a damn thing about it. Even the reporters are asking him about his age. Well, I'm Jeff Duncan. I'll race you. You get out there and fall over, man. What you you get out there and keel over, man. What you talking about? I ain't talking about fighting. Nah, you whoop your ass. That's why. Well, I ain't talking about fighting. Nah, it's time for you to. It's just, man, it's a lot of stuff I'm just not buying into. You gotta wait. I gotta see it, man. Now it's a very interesting experiment. I'm looking at what they're doing and I'm saying, let's see if this works. Let's see if it's worked. That is the most logical and reasonable approach that one could take that has been dealing with ridiculous garbage from the Saints for the last several years. I'm not sitting up here emptying out everything into these people and they're not giving you nothing back. I'm on that show me game right now. I'm sorry. And as far as Tyrann Mathieu is concerned, hey man, if you don't take a pay cut, you gotta be cut. You know, he's saying that he's New Orleans. And let me get this article right here. Y'all do me a service, hit the like button. What's up, Bird Talk? Shout out to you, fam. I see you. What's up, Jamaica? Shout out to Jamaica. All right, big ups. What's up, Chantel, baby? How you doing? Big ups to you. Good to see y'all, man. The Queens is out in full force today. K-Man, shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you as well. Pelican says, Q, how can the Saints cut players or trade players to get under the cap because Mickey Loomis said every move was calculated? I don't believe nothing Mickey Loomis said. I'm sorry. I really do. I've sit up here for years, fam, and I listen to all of the interviews, all of the stuff, and all I know is that the Saints are in bad straits. They don't have enough money the last 3 years. The money is something they'll just restructure. People say, Q, they'll just restructure the money, and that'll continue to go over with. I don't believe Mickey Loomis is ever going to not keep restructuring contracts, even when they free up the money in 2027, when they have $200-something million. It won't probably even be that, depending on how much money they're kicking into the future, because that's all he knows to do is to kick stuff into the future. He's not going to change. He's too old for that. He's not even a visionary enough to understand that's a bad way how to construct a team. So I don't count on him doing any of that. But I do understand and know that, you know, with Kellen Moore coming here, he's a fresh-faced coach, which means he's going to be inexperienced, which means there are going to be some errors made when his staff, no matter if he has some of these veteran guys. Scott Linehan was a guy that he reached to from the Cowboys. It's a very interesting staff of people the Saints are putting here. We'll just have to see how it all works. But if the word of what's the term? A word of advice. There you go. To you, Kellen Moore. Be very honest about this team. Look at your lines and start there. I will tell you that straight up. Look at your lines and start right there. Evaluate these lines, your defense and offensive lines. Start there. Because when you get that together, then you can build everything else there. Just start there. A smart man will start on his lines, offensive and defensive. Start there. Word of advice for you. And the truth of the matter is the Saints need everything. The people, let's say, they'll talk about defensive ends. They'll talk about safeties. They'll talk about wide receivers. They'll talk about running backs. They'll talk about quarterbacks. Every different mock draft, they got different people coming out, and it's a different player up there. There's no consensus of who the Saints should take as far as the draft is concerned. But I will continue to say that you need to focus on your offensive and defensive lines because they're not as good as you think they are, especially from a depth perspective. Your offensive line, I've been saying this, and I have evaluated the Saints, and I am telling you that the offensive line and the defensive line is an issue, especially when you have a new offensive system, a quarterback trying to learn a new offensive system. You have to run the ball and stop the run to have success in this here NFL. This is nothing new. This is standard stuff that happens all the time. Look how Philly did it. They ran the hell out of the ball with Saquon, and they stuffed the hell out of you, and they got to you with the pass rush. So you've seen Philly dominate teams at the line of scrimmage. That's where you start at. That's where you win. All games are won in the trenches. Despite all these fantastic skill players, remember that. That'll serve you very well. All right, so anyway, there's a poll question there for the family members. Y'all chime in. Let me know how y'all feel about some of these decisions the Saints are making as far as the coaching is concerned. How do y'all feel about it? We have 3 options up there. Great. I think the other one's bad, and the other one is whether they my option. which is to show me, which that probably to be the big winner of today's poll. That's an easy poll up there today, but that's where it is. All right, so anyway, man, let's get into it. And then after I finish hitting up these stories, you guys feel free in the chat to throw up your questions, man, and we'll go to it. Saints for life, shout out to you, brother. Good to see you. Knoxville in this thing. Brother Corvadia says Loomis scared of the rebuild. He thinks that the salary cap riding going to keep saving him. It won't. But that's the gamble has failed. It's failed. You have missed the playoffs 4 years straight. You fired a coach. He didn't really want to fire that guy. We forced him to fire the guy. So, I mean, I don't even see that is not even pure within itself. He was forced to fire that guy, and we know he was because we did it. So what kind of success mantra will he have? I mean, it's just the energies with how he operates just want me to slap the piss out of him. I'm just keep it honest with you, man. You too arrogant, man, for all this damn losing that you're doing. Anyway, let's move on to the article here. Saints Tyrann Mathieu responds to recent rumors about possible release. Honey Badger responds to the rumor. Shout out to Jimi Hendrix. He put this together. He says the Saints' plan attack is the new league year is right around the corner, and the team is going to have to go from speed to execution in order to get under the salary cap and then see where things land going into free agency. One player's future we keep tabs on is safety Tyrann Mathieu. They wasn't talking about Tyrann Mathieu at first. It really wasn't. They were talking about Taysom Hill, Cam Jordan. They were talking about all of them, but eventually they came around to Tyrann Mathieu because all of these guys, all these players, this is where all the money is. You got the caveat to it, or the drawback to the older players, is that eventually at some point you're going to have to get beyond these guys. We know that Demario Davis right now is on the last year of his contract. I think Tyrann has 2 years left this year and next year. I want to say Cam Jordan, he's almost done. He got 1 year, I want to say, left on his contract. And this is where all the money is. Taysom Hill, 1 year left on his contract. In terms of playing years, they got several voided phantom year deals, which is when the Saints kick can into the future, or kick the money into the future. They have 9 playable years where the team just pays the player when they're gone. After their playing is up, those voided or phantom years, they just kick the money into it. And you got several Saints players. The Saints will be playing for the next 3 years while they're no longer here. Cam is one of them. Taysom is one of them. Tyrann Mathieu is one of them. Demario Davis is one of them. So as you can see, it's the players, the leaders, or the good players is what we're dealing with here for the black and gold, that where all the money is. So if you release these guys, whom do you have to replace them on the team? That's where it gets really interesting, which would then be the Saints will have to then approach free agency, or they would have to do things through the draft. So it becomes a kind of a juggling game, as we're saying, but it is it's something that needs to happen. You know, it didn't, if Cam or Demario or Tyrann Mathieu would have gotten to the playoffs, then you could have seen the team take more of a gradual decline, or like a plane, touching down on the tarmac, more of a gradual touchdown and then roll out, as opposed to it just slamming down on the turf and you got to get the foam out there and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it has to happen. There is no soft landing for this kind of madness. Matthew said on X, he says, quote, "Slow news day, I see 504 forever. I am New Orleans." Yeah, you from New Orleans like I am. Yeah, 504 forever. Yeah, that's there, but that ain't saying nothing about being no Saint. When it's time to go, it's time to go. He has no intention of retiring for starters. He does have a high cap hit of 11.3 mil in this year, but releasing him right now would cost the team 12.3 million in dead money. Also, not providing any cap savings. A post June 1st designation would change a little bit of that, but New Orleans can only use 2 of those. Who will be, one will be for Ryan Ramczyk. So the post June 1st designation would change a little of that, but New Orleans can only use 2 of the post June 1st cuts. We have Ryan Ramczyk, who is a player there. Now, I have to do a little bit more research, but I want to say that there is a situation, maybe there's some type of medical exemption or something that the Saints could get back for Ryan Ramczyk. I remember reading about this some time ago. If anybody in the chat has any knowledge of that, please feel free to put it in the chat, because I remember talking about this a long time ago about some type of medical exemption that the Saints could roll out for Ramczyk, for Ryan Ramczyk, for his injuries, for his situation. We'll have to check on that moving forward. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. He also says it's not uncommon to see anything and everything after the scouting combine, but the main thing to remember is to follow the source said rumor is coming from. Do your homework and check into it for yourself. Most of these reports are worded in a way that could be wrong or could be right, which means it's speculative. And the reason why a lot of this has legs is because the reality is because you can look at any one of these guys, whether it's Cam or Taysom Hill or the news cycle is spun in spin the bottle, and the bottle that's landed on each one of these guys. Maybe not Demario Davis, because right now I don't know if the Saints don't have a guy that can replace Demario Davis. Pete Werner is good, but he played well last year, but can he really now? Did he shake that injury thing where he can be counted upon? Willie Gay is a free agent right now, even though we have Anthony Orji and some of these guys that are young linebackers. Are they really ready for that type of step up? You see, Cam Jordan operates as a reserve guy in some games. Last year he was actually starting the game, but if you do get Chase Young there, that kind of absorbs. You still have Isaiah Foskey, and the Saints could reach into the draft and grab another guy and bring him to the team. We'll see how it all goes. But a lot of these other players, man, maybe you look at Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, the way he was utilized last year was just impressive because they had him doing everything. It was unbalanced. But in the end, the Saints will have to do something here. Whether these players take a pay cut enough, we'll see. But you have to get the money, and the money is with these players. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's with these players. So it's only two ways you're going to do it, right? Either a restructure, which they really don't want to do, or them just outright cutting these players. That's why some of this stuff has legs. A new defensive scheme, and it says Will Harris is a free agent. Tyrann Mathieu is in the final year of his deal. Jordan Howard is the only other player in the mix for playing time. JT Gray is primarily a special teams guy. A new defensive scheme under Brandon Staley would need a lot of parts and pieces to work, and Tyrann Mathieu could certainly help. He also needs to stay available, obviously. One other thing to remember is that Kellen Moore really likes the leadership in the Saints locker room, which would be another reason he'd want him to stay in New Orleans. Naturally, we'll see what happens. And now, like I said, there's other players I think you get to before you get to a Tyrann Mathieu in terms of what we're talking about. But in the end, that's what I'm saying. A lot of this stuff has legs right now, whether it's speculative one way or the other, because the Saints have to do one or two things. These guys have to take a pay cut or be cut. They have to get the money. There's no doubt about that. All right. Anyway, let's move on beyond that, man, and keep it moving, man, to the next one. Kellen Moore hires his former coordinator to join the Saints staff, right? So we have that there. What's up, Backwood says, I think it's with the NFL Q grievances. We go, okay, thank you, brother. Appreciate you that. Appreciate that bit of game right there, bro. I'm gonna check that out and see as well. All right, Barber says we have to keep these linebackers, otherwise we can't run the 3-4 scheme. I think they'll eventually bring in their own guys, and that's a good point too, Barber. The 34 defense, right? They'll definitely bring in some guys, and they'll run a modified version of the 3-4 defense, right? We've seen that when they have 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and then a bunch of defensive backs out there, right? They'll run a version, like a modified version of that 3-4 front, and just put extra DB out there. But we'll see how it all twists and turns. And the defensive coordinator out there, which is Staley, I guess he has a mind of what these guys would be, and if this is indeed the case, then it's going to be some learning bumps right there because of the Saints 43 approach, which is they ran a modified version of that for years. So that means a lot of these older players could be, looking a little lost in some of this stuff when you have a big schematic change like that, man. A lot of change, man, defensive philosophy wise. Kellen Moore hires his former coordinator to join the staff. Kellen Moore hasn't finished bolstering his offensive staff. He's going back to the well of familiarity. The New Orleans Saints have hired Scott Linehan. Y'all remember him? According to Nick Underhill, Linehan brings over 30 years of professional and collegiate coaching experience. Ties run deep primarily with Kellen Moore. Linehan was the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator when Detroit signed Moore as an undrafted free agent back in 2012. Linehan left Detroit and went to Dallas in 2014. It didn't take long before Linehan and Moore duo was reunited. Moore joined the Cowboys as a backup quarterback in 2015 when Linehan became the offensive coordinator in Dallas. Boy, those ties. After years of coach-player relationship, became a coach assistant when Moore joined the staff. Ironically, it was just a year later that Moore took over for Linehan as the offensive coordinator. Additionally, Linehan spent a year with LSU, and that wasn't a good look. As a passing game coordinator in 2020, it wasn't long, but it does give him slight familiarity with the area. So there you go on some of this stuff right here. Scott Linehan is set to join as the staff as an assistant. We'll see just how all this will work, baby, to be honest with you. Like I said, man, I have no idea how any of this working. I just have to wait and see. All right, shout out to my dog Lo. He says, Q, got that fresh fade. I see you, boy. He said, all here fresher than John. Johnson and Johnson. A Johnson and Johnson baby Lo? Come on, brother. Shout out to my dog, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Much love to you and Coach Roney out there, man. Hope y'all doing all right, man. How y'all recovering from the disastrous season that the Falcons laid on y'all, man? It was actually a pretty positive season for us in terms of watching the Atlanta Falcons. But then again, I can't really get too much joy from that, brother, because, at least they can say, hey, Q, y'all in the cellar. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to just kind of chill on that right now, brother, and just say shout out to you for the
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, taking me back to this world.
I got to get my jollies in there when I can. All right. Shout out to my brother. All right. So anyway, let's keep it moving, man. Let's get to this, man, and talk about this, man. Brandon Staley stacking up coaches in the Saints secondary. I know you guys probably seen that. Staley has invested heavily in the secondary since becoming the Saints defensive coordinator. CBS Sports Math Zenith says that the Saints just hired Grady Brown. This is the third coaching acquisition with a history in the defensive backfield. The Saints also hired Terry Joseph to be the passing game coordinator after years as the Texas secondary coach. And Robert Blanton was brought in after being the Miami of Ohio safeties coach. Brown was the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive backs coach for 4 years before parting ways. While in Pittsburgh, he oversaw the development of Joey Porter Jr. and helped Dante Jackson receive a career high in interceptions this past year. Neither Brown nor Blanton has an official title at the moment. There is a chance New Orleans could divide the secondary into safeties and cornerbacks. That's something they did last year. If that were the case, it would make sense for Blanton to be the coach for the safeties. It's the role he occupied in Miami. Then Brown would slot in at the cornersback coach. Roles have not yet been cemented, but there seems to be emphasis on coaching in the secondary. So the Saints are continuing to bringing in guys to kind of help, and they're filling out the staff. And this is what Coach Staley ideas with Grady Brown, who comes from the Steelers side of things, to kind of help out. Robert Blanton, a former player, and Jay Rodgers is another guy they kind of added to the mix as well. So we'll see how it works, man. Grady Brown, Robert Blanton, and Jay Rodgers are on board. So we'll see how it all works, man. Like I said, we'll see how these guys work. Now, Jay Rodgers was the Falcons D-line coach last season. He previously worked under Staley with the Chargers, serving as the team's outside linebackers coach and defensive run game coordinator in 21, and as the defensive line coach and then the defensive run game coordinator in 2022. Rodgers also has coached for the Broncos and Bears. So this is an interesting mix of people that they're bringing in to the team. And one of the really excellent moves that I was really impressed with is when the team brought Bo Davis, the defensive line coach from the LSU Tigers. When I seen that, I was like, man, that's going to be groundbreaking right there, because Coach Davis is phenomenal in coaching the defensive linemen. When the Saints did that, I was like, wow, that's going to be special to see how his impact on the Saints defensive line, because listen, we have to get these guys together. We have Carl Granderson is fantastic. Now, then again, if it's like I say, if it's a 34 defense or a modified front of it, happening with Staley, then that's 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers. So you would have to kind of see who that nose tackle was going to be. I don't think it's Bink Saunders. I just don't. He doesn't to me look like a nose tackle to be there. You need a big, massive player that eats up space and is incredibly disruptive operating there. Those 3 down linemen have to kick a lot of tail, because, like I said, if they don't, then it's going to be a problem, because a lot of times those offensive linemen shed off of them and get to your linebackers, and then you're going to have problems. That 3-4 only works well like that is a lot. Many times the 3-4, the strength of the 3-4 is a fast defense. And if you have really good linebackers that can blitz and drop into coverage, who can cover the run and pass, and they're athletic anymore, you're going to have some success. But up front, we've seen the best version of the 34 defense ever ran in the history of it down here, called the Dome Patrol. And guys like Sam Mills and Vaughn Johnson and Pat Swillen and the great Ricky Jackson. Those guys were phenomenal because of all the things that they did. But at the same time, when we talk about the Dome Patrol, a lot of times people leave out the Saints front 3 linemen who allowed those guys to do what they did. If them offensive linemen are shedding off those defense, them down 3 and get into that linebacker level, you're gonna have problems. That if he's shedding and he getting to the second level, you best believe the running back is coming behind him. So and it'll be interesting to see the Saints install it. And do they have personnel to run that 3-4 system? We'll see. Like I said, Pete Werner, Demario Davis, you're getting a little old there. From the outside linebacker perspective, Saints might have to go into the draft and find some people or kind of fit it the best way they can. But we're going to see, man. It's a lot of transition, and I ain't mad at him. But I love the Bo Davis signing to become the defensive line coach. So you can see the Saints are kind of filling the voids. They're bringing in all these guys right here, and they're doing a positive thing in terms of putting the coaching staff together, the defensive front, to see what we're going to do. And a lot of college people are here, which we're going to see, man. We're going to see. It's a lot of flux, a lot of nuance. We'll see what goes there. All right, A to Z, shout out to them for that. Saints coaching staff tracker. That's the tracker, because a lot's going on. A lot's going on in terms of the tracker. This is the most accurate one I could find. All right, I'm going to get one of our writers for Carpenter to put together one tracker. But anyway, Kellen Morris did his thing, but this is the tracker, the latest one I found in terms of what we're looking at. And this is it lays it out right here. The Saints staff, as official as it possibly. You can see Doug Nussmeier, offensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, defensive coordinator, tight ends coaches, Chase Haslett, Jari Evans, offensive assistant, Phil Galliano is the special teams coach, Keith Williams is the wide receiver coach, Brandon Nugent is the offensive line coach, Scott Tolzien, he'll be the quarterbacks coach there. Joel Thomas, y'all remember Joel was here with the Saints 2 years ago before making a move to the Giants. He's back. Like him a lot. Really good coach. Keith Williams, a really good coach. They got a director of sports science and Ted Rath, who a lot of people wrote some articles on, said that was a pretty positive thing. So we'll see how he does. Terry Joseph, who's the defensive pass game coordinator, Kyle Wilbur, who is the special team assistant for Phil Galliano there, Jay Rodgers, another defensive assistant, Robert Blanton, a defensive assistant, Peter Sermon, the linebackers coach, Bo Davis, the defensive line coach. And of course, like I said, this list ain't currently, it's still, then you add to it these guys, which is Grady Brown, the secondary coach, Robert Blanton, who's probably the safeties coach, and then Jay Rodgers, who might be a defensive assistant in there. So we'll see. This is as much as right now. And like I said, I get one of our contributors to kind of put an article together to make a better, more accurate, easy to read tracker. You see what I'm saying, family, as well. But anyway, let's go to this one. Ian Rappaport also reported that the Vikings are hiring Saints offensive assistant Jordan Traylor. I remember the Saints brought back Jordan Traylor. And just like that, NFL moves quick as the Vikings are hiring him as the new assistant offensive coordinator and assistant QB's coach, sources say, taking the place of Grant Udinski. I hope I'm pronouncing the man right. He's that name correctly. Traylor, just 31, fills a key void as this guy left to become the Jaguars offensive coordinator. So he left to be the OC of the Jags. And the Vikings say, hey, man, Jordan Traylor, I know you just got back with the Saints, but hey, man, we're going to give you a new offensive coordinator, assistant offensive coordinator, and assistant QB's coach. And a lot of talk about Jordan Traylor is climbing the ladder as eventually he'll land an offensive coordinator position. I think he just kind of positioning himself to get to that block and do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And of course, as we keep it moving, man, because there's quite a few other stories here to kind of talk about as well. Let's get into this one, man. We'll move this one ahead right here for the family members, because this is another one right here from Clutch Points that talk about the 3 cut candidates entering the 2025 season. And this one was done a week or two ago about it, but it made reference of a couple of players that we need to kind of keep an eye out on. Entering the offseason, no team will be worse in the salary cap situation than the Saints. Yes, indeed. The Saints are not doing pretty good there. Despite what what's his name? Jeff Ireland said about Mickey Loomis when he was doing all of that glazing. But that's just another thing to kind of talk about too, fam. When you see all that foolishness going on with these people, it's just insane. But anyway, 3 cut candidates here to talk about. As the franchise, they said, is a state of rebuilding. That's something the Saints never going to admit to, because they think you won't give them their money if you find out that they're rebuilding. That's the craziness about it. It's a less than ideal position to be in, forcing them to make roster adjustments in the near future. The quickest and most cost-effective way will be for the Saints to compile a list of cut candidates. With a plethora of big contracts on the books, the Saints are projected to be $52 million in the hole. I mean, right now the number is from over the cap. Our reliable reference is 47.48 plus mil in the cap right now, which is still head and shoulders. That's the current number according to over the cap. That's actually pretty good on these matters. But back to the article. Major transactions during the recent off seasons, including the signing of Carr, Elvin Kamara, and Cam Jordan, are beginning to come back to haunt them. Such gambles did not pay off in 2024, leaving them in limbo for the following season. Before free agency can even begin, the Saints have already made one major offseason move. They landed recent Super Bowl champion Kellen Moore as a head coach, filling the void left by Dennis the Possum Allen. And Moore rose up the ranks as the top offensive coordinator in the league over the past decade, giving the family members reason to be excited for the upcoming season, despite a 5-12 finish in 2024. Can't get any worse, right? Even with Moore, the Saints have a host of moves to make before returning to Super Bowl contention. Aside from being one of the most expensive rosters in the league, they're also one of the oldest, right? And New Orleans had an average age of almost 27 in 2024, the 5th highest in the NFL. That's that contrast with the hiring of Moore, who becomes the youngest coach at the time of his hiring, which would kind of lead you into the thought process. Hey, man, why don't we just tear this all down and start over again? We got a young coach here. Let's bring some people in here to his liking, and let's take all these other guys that did not work over the last 4 years. Because remember, it was a window. I don't forget this stuff. It was a window. They talked about a window. This was their verbiage, their words. They said that over the next 4 years, it was a window. That's why the contracts were constructed as such where they would compete in that window. But the caveat and the asterisk was it had to be a successful thing. If it is not successful, it's not justified. We cannot justify keeping old players, as much as we love them and like them. This has nothing to do with anything personal. This is business. And the business is if you're not winning, you need to go. Am I right? Put 100 in the chat. Put 100 in the chat if that's the fact. The fact is, if you have a time window, the time window is only justified as long as there is winning. If there is no winning, you need to go. You need to go. And guess what? I have nothing to do with it. I ain't have a damn thing to do with why the Saints stunk over the last 4 years. It is simply what it is. This is their verbiage. It just so happens I have a memory to remember the stuff because this is what I do. I know that the window has failed, and thus these players need to go. You got the youngest coach in the league and the oldest team. These old players that's holding all of the money, if they don't want to take a pay cut, they need to go. Like it or lump it, resume or not. Let me say this for the family members out there, because we often because we so unselfish minded, we often put their resume personally ahead of common sense stuff, which is if you're not winning, you can take that resume and cram it. That's how I feel about mine right now. That's where these people done got me to with all these lies and all this crap and all this failure and all this losing. That's why I'm at with mine. And a lot of you guys are with me too, because y'all sit here and watched all this stuff happening. It's on time windows are only justified when you're winning. Now I can understand a gradual thing where you can see a new coach coming in and he needs time, 3 to 4 years to see what kind of progress that he's making in the drafts and the signings and how they're developing talent and all this kind of stuff. But if you're bringing a Kellen Moore who has no experience at the head coach level, he has a total new crew of people that's coming here. You want to make sure that you give him a blank canvas to paint on and not something that Possum done scribbled all over. That old Possum. He done scribbled all over here. You know what, Kelly? You think you can come on over here? And no, do I really have to? Yeah. All right. Okay, Lo. Thank you. Lo sent me. Lo sent me a video saying this how you feel about the season. All right, I'm gonna watch it, my brother. Shout out to my dog, Lo. All right, I got you, brother. Hey, bro, yeah, I'm sounding up here. Hey, bro, let there be a lesson out here, man. All right, shout out to Deborah, man. What's happening, Deborah? How you doing, baby? But this is the thing that's really interesting as well, is that this when the who that man, listen, I'm not putting us behind no more, man. I'm not doing that for these ungrateful players because they don't tell the truth. Now, if Marshawn Lattimore did, he put his money on the line, trying to change the culture from inside. He was disgruntled, and they had people attack that man and called him a diva. Oh, he's not a team person; he's a diva. And the man was telling the truth and saying, "This is not how we're going to win." He was fully validated. He was validated. Even Alvin Kamara almost got his money messed up because he was talking about the losing culture and all of the stuff that was going on. Remember, Mickey Loomis didn't want to pay him. Y'all remember that? Held his money back, but gave money to Pete Werner before he paid Alvin Kamara. Who's more important if you're dealing with a certain amount of money? It's a priority list here, for God's sake. It's a priority list. You don't pay the second best linebacker you have when you got Alvin Kamara. The best running back in franchise history is Alvin Kamara, and you pay Pete Werner over him at first and make him wait. You tell me if that makes sense in any world. But in the end, the thing is, we can't put these players because they lie. They don't tell the truth all the time. They really don't. They sit up here and they tote the line. It's time for us to understand it. I've been on that game, and we as supporters need to get more intelligent about how we deal with these matters of sports and just stop giving it to the players and let them. Now, you check these players when they get out of line, when they say something crazy. You check these administrators. Hell, you check them because you know what time it is. You watching the team, you watching them, and a lot of these guys do a Jeff Ireland. You remember when Jeff Ireland got up here and said that the team is in great hands with Mickey Loomis? That he no other greater general manager, and you know that's a lie. Mickey Loomis has told the Saints up. That's why we got to get cut. We talking about getting rid of Tyrann Mathieu and all this old kind of stuff. That's him. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, but I am tired of the lies because we're not going to, if we can't live in the world of the truth. And they get mad. That dude literally gets mad at the Who Dat Nation because we make him do his job. He don't want to do it. He just wants to do it his way. And then you come over here and give me the money. I don't care if I mess it up or not. Just still give me the money. We're going to raise the ticket prices on you. We're going to be involved in molestation with the Catholic Church. And we're not going to fire anybody. We're going to allow Bensel, who got caught on messages, to stay. We're going to let him stay and pretend like it all going to go away. But just keep bringing the money. Come on. We know you're stupid. We know you like football more than morals. Keep bringing us your money. I'm like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to make you, we're going to hold you to a higher standard because we are the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. We have moral and ethics. Even when some of these scum don't, we do. That's the God honest truth. And nobody don't talk about it, act like they don't exist. They're like it's in a different world from what we dealing with the Saints. It's the same damn thing. The same thing. So in the end, when you see players, by the way, none of them said a damn thing about none of this stuff that I'm talking about. They just sit up here and spin lies and BS about it and blame it on stuff that totally wasn't the main reason why they failed. How can I trust something like that when that's what they do? So I say, no, that is not the truth. And that's not a popular opinion, a commentary to take, but that's why the Sports Coma is here. That's why we created it, because I got tired of the radio and these television people sitting up here making excuses for the Saints and just creating narratives that made no sense. Now you see the narrative is being pushed closer because you have a platform and a voice that people respect. Then you see the narrative change. We're going to continue to push the narrative because they start talking about it is not the health staff. Y'all heard the interview I played last show. You heard that dude sit up there and lie about the health staff. Oh, it's not the health staff and all that. Well, what is it then? What is it then? What is it? Mickey Loomis said they had more injuries this year than they had last year. How could that be the case when you got how y'all tell me how much the Oshner health, the sports side of the health system is worth? We talking billions of dollars. You mean to tell me? I know they could fix the injuries, because the bottom line is we see other systems with other teams that's dealing with injuries, but they still are able to get their players available to fix the stuff. We see it. But back to these players, man, the bottom line is it's a check the players and administrative move to check these owners and all that. We're not letting you make it like that no more. We all have to do it. I talked to Lo and all of the family members. If you got platforms, keep these people. Don't let these people make it, man. Don't let them make it, man. Tell the truth. That is the thing that people want to hear, because people got enough of these people out here lying and towing the line. Enough of all of that. Enough of that. All right, back to the article. Here we go. Even with more, the Saints have a host of moves to make before returning to contention. Under the new regime, it's possible for the Saints to favor youth moving forward. Either way, the Saints have to thin out the roster to make any major moves in 2025's offseason. Cam Jordan at the top of the list. With his 14th season now in the book, Cam Jordan is now just 2 games behind Drew Brees for the most in Saints history. Unfortunately, if the front office prioritize its business model the way it should, Jordan will not get there. At 35 and soon to be 36 in July, Jordan is the oldest and longest tenured player on the team. He also still well compensated, earning the third highest annual salary in New Orleans. His recent production has just not aligned with the costs, particularly for a defensive end. Jordan's sack numbers have dramatically decreased over the past 2 years, with just 2 in 23 and 4 in 24. So 6 sacks in 2 years. As Jordan continues to age, the Saints have adequately supplemented him with young talent. In 24, the reinforcements came in the form of first-round picks Peyton Turner and Chase Young, but both were admirable in the reserve role, particularly Young, who finished second on the team with 5.5 sacks. It was he was tied with Carl Granderson with 5.5 sacks. But the thing is, at some point, you as a visionary, right? The Saints spent 2 first-round draft picks on Marcus Davenport, obvious bust, and then Peyton Turner, who's not going to be back here unless he takes a pay cut or a cheap contract from the Saints. That's 2 failed first-round drafted defensive ends. Both 2 failed guys. The Saints 2 years ago, going on 3 years ago, drafted defensive end Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame, and he was the Notre Dame Fighting Irish #1 all-time sacker. He got here, and the guy believes in going on 3 years now, he has a half a sack. You know, how you have a guy with all that kind of potential, but we cannot get it to translate into success. Why? Because the Saints are not giving him an opportunity to be out there. Practice is one thing, but live game action is a whole nother thing. So you see a failure in terms of how the Saints, because they're spending draft capital on defensive ends, but they're not taking these guys and turn them in anything. Your 2 top defensive ends is an undrafted guy named Carl Granderson, who rose up through the ranks like Jawan Johnson did. And then the other guy is Chase Young, a guy that Carolina was going to sign, but I think he failed his physical. I remember Dave and Shad was telling me about that. He had a physical. It didn't work out. The Saints signed him. He had an injury. The Saints still signed him, and it worked for him. Remember, after the signing, he had 2 days later, people was excited about it. And I was like, how the hell Carolina let him out of there? It didn't pop at first. Then the C went to New Orleans. He signed with the Saints. Everybody was happy. And then a couple of days later, bam, he had something, a surgery on his spinal, his back or something. It actually worked out where he was healthy, but in the end, there's no guarantee that the Saints will retain him. The Saints could be outbidded for his service. Of course, he's going to give you first digs, but if there's another guy that's coming and say, man, I'll double that deal by another $5 million. You know, Paulson, Debo, these guys are in jeopardy of leaving, you know? So anyway, it's just showing you that the Saints have not won at the defensive side of it in terms of drafting. They had 2 bust first-round draft picks and a second-round pick that's headed in that direction unless he gets developed. The 2 guys is a free agent in Chase Young, who was a gamble that paid off, and I told you Granderson, which was an undrafted guy. That's their 2 top ends right now, not the draft guys. That's crazy, right? So anyway, Young's career has not nearly met the expectation he was given upon entering the league, but he thoroughly outperformed them in 24. His impressive output kept him on the field for 62% of the total defensive snaps. The number aligns with many starters around the league and is noticeably higher than Jordan's 48%. The veteran still started in all 17 games, but it was typically Young on the field opposite of Carl Granderson in crunch time, which is the athletic Carl and the athletic Chase Young, which is a good tandem. Right. So at some point, you got to get Cam out of here. Cam is not going to get better. And like I said, fam, listen, hear me, please hear me. Because I like Cam Jordan. I like Demario Davis. I like Tyrann Mathieu. I like these players, but let's get out of like for a second. We running a business here. We trying to get this situation to where it needs to be. And having a guy that has 6 sacks in 2 years and is 36 years old, and he has the second highest annual money on your team. No. And then the biggest caveat is you're not winning with these old guys. You actually went from, 9 wins the year, 9 wins to a 5-12 team. You bottomed out last year. Bottom out. So at some point, you got to say, you know what? This is a failed experiment. The window is over. The window is over, and this is over with. So let's clean it all up. Like I said, there was no ifs, ands, or buts, or no way around it because the money is with Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan, what is his annual money? All of the money. Look at this. There it is right here. All the money is with these old players. You see Derek Carr's 30 million, Cam Jordan's 12.5. This is the base salary before you touch it. 12.5. Taysom Hill 10. DeMario's 6.5. And then it goes, you see Tyrann at 6.2 right there when it according to over the cap. So a lot of the big money that you need to improve the team to go into the future is with these old players. So there's only one way around it. And it's not just saying that he needs to take a pay cut, but there are players that you need to develop that's waiting behind him. Somebody else that's younger and cheaper needs to get that time to develop. Cam Jordan is not doing anything that way. He's not going to be, he's a good locker room presence, but hell, we got to find somebody cheaper for that. And plus, beyond that, Cam Jordan was severely rewarded handsomely with New Orleans for all of his time here. You can't say nothing bad about the mighty Who Dat Nation. He showed up and we showed up for you. We mirrored you. We mirrored everything you did. When you showed up, we showed up for you. We mirrored everything you get. We gave you everything all of the positive stuff that you did, we gave it back to you. So at some point, you got to pull the plug on this, man. Like it or lump it. The money is where we need to get the money. At the very least, the Saints need to explore potentially reworking Cam Jordan's inflated contract in 2025, but as hard as it would be, an outright release is well within the realm of possibility. And the thing is, when you restructure, understand this, when you restructure a contract for a player, it ties them to you for the following year. Now, Cam Jordan, if you restructure him, they're probably going to restructure it in the terms of voided years. And I don't want to do the restructure game because what it does is it kicks money into your dead money. Dead money ties into the cap next year and drops it down. Right now, the cap figure for next year, let me put it here. This is 2026. I'm about to show y'all right here, according to over the cap at 64.1. And I've talked about this before. This is 25 right here, showing you 47 plus in the red. And then as you see the number, it's in the black 64 plus mil. Whatever they do this year in restructures will adjust and adapt to this number right here. So whatever moves you're going to make in terms of the team dealing with older contracts, you don't want to add any more in terms of hurting the future, right? Because you're gonna definitely deal with it because the model Mickey Loomis is set up is steals power from the future. But at some point we gotta, and I know that's not his philosophy, that's our philosophy, because Mickey Loomis doesn't give a damn because there's nobody busting his ass to make him do the right thing. So in the end, he's just gonna do what he wants to do, which is keep kicking the can, and then if it fails, Gail and none of them are gonna come out to chastise him for the failure. I've never met old ass people like the Saints that's running this team that want you to just sit up here and just shower them with accolades of greatness and all this when they don't even deserve it. Talk about respect. That was years ago the Saints won a Super Bowl. Since then, have they really been trying to get another one? Them people that lived off that Super Bowl for years, man. It is easier for them to just do what they've been doing than sit up and try to compete with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs for Super Bowl. We just gonna bank out. That's the harsh, hardcore reality that I'm giving y'all. Think about it. Think about all of the excuses and the dumbness and the crap that we've seen. Y'all, you think that's gonna just go away? Come on. These are black glasses, not rose-colored ones. Telling you straight up, I don't wear no rose-colored glasses. All right, next one, man. A QB running back, tight end, Taysom Hill. Since finding his niche with the Saints in 2018, Hill has become a staple of the dysfunctional organization. This ain't my words, this the writers. Even beyond Peyton's tenure, however, despite being just 7 years into his professional career, Hill is already preparing for his age 35 season on the heels of yet another significant injury. Historically, players similar to Hill have not been as effective into their 30s. However, before going down with a knee injury, Hill remain New Orleans' top short yardage option in 2024. Unfortunately, even more concerning than his age is the fact that he tore his ACL, was the sixth serious leg injury of Hill's career since he debuted with BYU in 2012, this is absolutely a beautiful and key thing to talk about. Love Taysom Hill, but the reporter makes, or the writer rather, makes a very powerful point about the injury situation and the money that you're paying him. Right? We know Taysom Hill is awesome, but at 35 years of age, we've seen last year, like and it's so terrible because it didn't even have to be like that. Taysom Hill, they over that Clint Kubiak idiot just overburdened Taysom Hill, lazily, stupidly overused Taysom when you had other players that you could use or kind of spread the game plan out with. This guy was a moron. All he did was just use tapes because it was easy to do. It didn't require any thought process at all. Just overuse this guy. Not sprinkling this other guy, do this, that, move him around, add this other guy and do this, and had some innovation or have some ingenuity. Oh, those are words that I love. I love innovation. I love ingenuity. You know, I love that type of stuff because that means that's a fresh approach and we're constantly thinking, we're adapting to what's going on in the game as opposed to being predictable like where we were. This is a great point, that the fact that he had a torn ACL was the sixth serious leg injury of Hill's career since he debuted back in 2012 with BYU. According to Over the Cap, he's third this year, third on your list in terms of base salary of $10 million. So I like Taysom Hill a lot, but like I was saying, this is a part of the game where people have to start thinking about the future and cheaper backs and things because we need to. Right? Great point on that. If Hill was a league average contract, there will be no doubt that he would end his career in black and gold. Instead, his $40 million contract is the sixth highest on the team, despite his effectiveness and versatility. The bottom line is the Saints paid Hill $10 million to play less than half of the offensive snaps in all but 2 games of 2024. With Kellen Moore now confirmed as the Saints' next head coach, is a little bit back. Family members already are salivating at the prospect of how the offensive guru can utilize the Swiss Army knife on the field. But if the Saints truly want to turn the sinking ship around, Hill's contract makes him one of the leading cut candidates during the 2025 season. And of course, this was another one. How about Jamal Williams? I often alluded to Jamal Williams. We love Jamal because he's kind of quirky. You got the Pokemon, you got cats and all that kind of stuff. But like I tell you, that ain't helping us win no games here. 3 years removed from the leading. This was so crazy. 3 years removed from leading the league in rushing touchdowns, Jamal Williams' Saints career has not been as glamorous. Expectations could only have been so high for the 29-year-old veteran. Yet he has continuously dropped the depth chart at each week as each week passed over the past 2 years. From the moment he arrived in New Orleans, Williams was expected to be nothing more than a team short yardage back. After the success he had in that role with Detroit, he seemed like a perfect complement to Alvin Kamara in the backfield. However, that did not tend to play out on the field. In his 2 years with the team, Williams has just 470 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Think about that. This 3 years ago when he was with the Detroit Lions, he had over 1,000 rushing yards and 17 rushing touchdowns in 1 year. With the Saints, 470 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And one of them was one that they snuck in on the back couple of years ago on the back end, which Dennis Allen threw his team under the bus when they snuck and got one off of. Oh, man. Williams nearly immediately lost his role as a short yardage back to Hill, whom the team preferred as a utility weapon. But even during Hill's injury absence, he lost snaps to former third-round pick Kendre Miller ahead of the 2025 season. But Williams and Miller prepared for the third year in New Orleans. The former is currently raking in $3 million or more in annual salary, despite seeing the field less. he's a definitely cut candidate. Down the stretch of 2024, Williams' playing time took a steep drop off. His lack of snaps directly coincided with the increase of Kendre Miller's usage. Whether or not that was solely due to the coaching staff preferring to give their younger player additional reps in the lost season remains to be seen. Regardless, early indications suggest Williams sits atop the Saints' chopping block. This is true. Definitely true. Because of the fact that the Saints can find an undrafted running back. Matter of fact, they will find an undrafted running back that will more than likely take Jamal Williams' position. Kendre Miller is already there. And then you talk about Kendre, but actually Taysom Hill, his true value didn't come from just being, I mean, he did a lot of stuff, but if you look at the stats on Taysom Hill got the bulk of his production as a running back. Whether he was back there as a quarterback on the RPO situation where he rarely threw the ball, he did a lot of running and gathered production as a running back. That took reps from Jamal Williams. And then when Kendre was there, that took reps from him too. So in the end, this was like the Marcus May signing. This was a hugely terrible signing for the Saints. It just didn't work out because they didn't consistently stick to the vision of what Jamal Williams is, which is a power north-south runner. And this is not all on Jamal Williams. The Saints offensive line was putrid last year. They were awful. Outside of the first 2 games of the year, they were not consistent. Even when they got their offensive lineman back several weeks later, they still couldn't open up rushing attack lanes for nobody to run. Hell, I mean, I remember games watching Elvin Kamara run into the lane will open up and then close as fast as it opened. He'll pick up a rough 2-yard pickup, get up off the ground, drop the ball, and walk. Y'all seen that? So it wasn't all on Jamal Williams. A lot of this was on the offensive coaches not knowing how to utilize them in the offensive line for a large part of the season was terrible. They weren't good. They wasn't. So Jamal Williams, ain't no doubt about it. He has to go. He got to go. His Pokemon cards, his cats, all that. He got to go. Back him on up, put him in the U-Haul, and wherever you going to go ahead on, brother. Because it wasn't a good look for us today. We got some laughs and all that. But in the end, I prefer wins. I prefer to win over that. All right. So anyway, that's that. What y'all thought about that, man? 3 cut candidates, Cam, Taysom, and Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is one a lot of people say, yeah, Q, he can go. He can go. All right, now let's go to this, man. Saints will have to compete to re-sign free agents Chase Young and Paulson Adebo. Shout out to the Saints Wire. All the Saints have been intriguing offseason, coming up with multitude of free agents set to hit the market from their team. Some of these free agents are primarily depth pieces, but the others are key starters. The Saints are going to have to make some tough decisions. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN recently discussed some of the top free agents in the NFL Combine Buzz article, including Chase Young, Paulson Adebo, and Jawan Johnson. Starting off with the young starting cornerback, Fowler expressed optimism around the league on Adebo's status ahead of free agency, in which some of you probably seen a video of Paulson Adebo dunking the basketball. So he seems to have rehab to a great degree since we seen him get carted off, right? But he was dunking a basketball and doing all that, so he's well, ahead and coming back. But in terms of him coming back to New Orleans, I don't see that happening because the Saints, we're going to see how the whole thing is this. 2 things. You look at the money and say, Q, I don't see how we're going to afford it. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll put the Mickey mindset on and be like, hold on now. I can do that. I'll do it. And how would Mickey do it? What he'll do is he'll sign him to a multiple year escalating agreement with the first year super cheap. We're talking $1 million or $2 million in that first year. You know how he does it. You know what he's going to kick the can. You're not going to work it back to the black like he lied 2 years ago. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to work it back to the black here. Black is good. Hold on now. Black is beautiful. Yeah, but he's not trying to do that. He's an old goat who doesn't know any new tricks. All he's going to do is what he always knows to do, which is to kick the can. So yes, he can go and then sign a Paulson Adebo and a Chase Young and give them and compete with them to give them money once they free up some money to give them. I know it sounds crazy, but y'all know who you working with, and don't sit up here and pretend like it ain't the case. When they show you who they are, you believe them. Don't sit up here and turn these people into nothing that they are not showing to be. We're not delusional. They're showing you who they are. Mickey Loomis is showing you he's an arrogant, pompous. Yeah, I ain't gonna go too far than the rest of that stuff because might have some children listening. But at the end of the day, you know who you're working with here. Mickey Loomis, where he can sign, he said, how are you going to do it, Q? Once they free up some of this money through restructures, a lot of it's going to come through restructures. A few of these guys are going to get cut. We know that. The Saints could free up anywhere between $15 to $20 million in restructured money. So how are they going to spend that? And we're going to be aggressive in free agency, by the way, there, Q. Hold on now. Hold on. I'll tell you something here. Hold on, guy. Hold on, big guy. We're going to be aggressive in free. Didn't he say that? We're going to be aggressive. Well, hold on. We're going to be aggressive. Black is beautiful. Oh, yeah, but this is what he's going to do. Y'all know. Come on now. Don't sit up here and pretend like you don't know who Mickey Loomis is. Oh, he's going to be responsible this year, Q. Oh, he really is. What told you that? What proof you got on that? Well, you been dipping into the whiskey bottle? What you get? What's going on over there? Mickey Loomis is going to show you who he is what he been. Kicking the can. That's what he knows. That's what he's going to do. But if he's going to get a Chase Young or Paulson and Debo, he'll give them a nice chunk contract and then give them escalating agreement, which each year is higher than the next. And then what he'll do is he'll give them a cheap first year, which is about $1 million or $2 million. He'll give them a nice signing bonus, which then he will kick into the year for 3 to 4 years. And then when the second year comes around, or the third year comes around on that same agreement, he'll restructure again to free up even more money, baby, until you get the big block money that will then drop the Saints where they need to be. And that'd be the first time in a long time that happened. That's almost like the lunar eclipse that we about to get ready to see. But this is what's going to happen. So you're like, how could they afford it? If that is what he's going to do, that is what he's going to do. If you got what I'm saying, that cheap year, a cheap 1 or 2 year would be $1 or $2 million. And then the next year balloons to like 10 mil, 15 mil, and then up. You want an example of that? Should I give you an example of what I mean by that? Y'all see it all the time. Here is an example. How about this little giblet? This is Derek Carr's contract. If you look at the base salary in 2023, look at it, 1.5, cheap, less than $2 million. The next year in 24, 1.2, and look how it goes from 1.5, 1.2 to what, $30 million. How do you jump from 1.2 to 30 million? How do you do that? How you do it is you got Mickey Loomis creating the paths for you, creating a whole world of make-believe here. This contract, look at that. 24, it goes from 1.2 to 30 million. And then, oh my God, look at, hold on now. In 2026, that guy's making $50 million. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Mickey, yeah, you should know that. You did that. You did this. This is what I'm talking about when you say, Q, can we sign these players? If he operating like this, yeah, you can sign him. All he's doing is just selling the future out. And if it fails, hell, hold on now. Hell, I tried. Hold on now. It's just, nobody's going to tell him nothing. Except for you and me, of course. And of course, the cuteness of the contract is not the $50 million that you're going to pay Derek Carr next year. After the restructure, that's going to go up to $70 million. Numbers already been they already work in the numbers. With a restructure, fam, listen to me with the money. We talking money now, right? We love money. We can't rebuild without the money. Listen to me. This is not fantasy. But then again, what Mickey Loomis doing, it is almost like fantasy. You go from 2024 from 1.2 to 30 million. And then in 26, it goes 50. A restructure brings that up to almost 70 million for next year. How are you going to get rid of Carr next year? Question is you won't. The answer to that is you won't. But the cuteness of the contract is years 2027, 28, and 29. Derek Carr would be 36, 37, and 38. 9 playable years on this deal, as you can see, but the Saints will be paying Derek Carr up until he's almost 38 years of age. They said there's no voided money on the 2029, but once the restructure hits, that'll add to it. So you'll be paying him 3 years after he's gone. This is his contract. This is the blueprint. So when you hear me talk about the Saints, I bring the receipts, baby. This is what it looks like, you know? All right, let's get on back into it when we talk about it. But yeah, that's how you can do it if you're going to do it. Y'all seen that? 1.2, then 30 million. Oh, where they do that at? Obviously in New Orleans. All right, so anyway, he said, and similar, he believes that the Saints will be well positioned to try and bring back Chase Young. However, he did also mention that the Carolina Panthers need help on the edge as well. Fowler said Young's free agency value may be stronger than what he experienced last year. Indeed. All he had to do, and we speaking of Chase Young now, is prove to the NFL that he can stay healthy. That was the main caveat, because everybody knows Chase Young has the talent. The sticker was, can Chase Young stay healthy? Well, guess what? He proved that. So don't for a second think that whatever anybody else is going to offer him, you know, that the Saints will be able to kind of do what they do. Now, there's a point of how much you want to pay or you offer these guys before you pivot away and see if you can go get somebody else. But look where the Saints are insofar as that. Chase Young is the second best defensive lineman the Saints have. Cam Jordan needs to go. And Isaiah Foskey is underdeveloped. People are saying draft the defensive end. That won't help you. Because even if you get a talented defensive end, somebody, he still is going to be a rookie. You know, and you can't just keep drafting defensive ends and then slotting a guy over another guy. You got to develop the guys you have. So whatever you're doing from last year's draft, it has to make sense to the team. You know, and I know a lot of these coaches, they're going to bring their own guys in anyway. But if you're a smart coach, you got to see if you're going to keep some of these guys on your team. You have to figure a way to develop these guys that the previous administration or the previous coaches couldn't do. And Isaiah Foskey has the talent, but he's set behind Cam Jordan. You know, he's set behind Peyton Turner. And he didn't have any, he didn't develop. So at some point, and listen, fam, you don't have forever in a day with these guys. Isaiah's going into his 3rd year, right? They didn't do nothing with him in years 1 and 2. And it's the same thing with Trevor Penning. Hear me. You got Penning. They drafted Penning. Penning didn't play but 1 game in his first year. The 2nd year, they put him in there at the left tackle position. I kept saying that was a bad idea the whole year. The guy failed. He crashed and burned, lost his confidence. It almost destroyed him mentally, right? You seen how he was depressed looking and he was doubting himself. He told the reporters that he was doubting himself. He's doubting his confidence. That's something that you cannot have with a young player. You can't do that with these young. You have to put them in a position to be successful and put them at a position where I knew, and I was talking about it the whole time, that he couldn't do it. Instead, they was trying to keep Ramczyk on the right side. And that was before they started telling you how bad Ramczyk's knee was, where they didn't want to move him. So they just tore up Trevor Penning. Then in the 3rd year, he struggled early through camp so bad, and credit to the man that he was able to gather himself for the rest of the year. If you watch the tape, he still got a long way to go. I mean, he did a lot better, but be honest, he couldn't do no worse than the first year or two. The first couple of years, that was bottom of the barrel. So whatever he gave you this year looked better than any of that stuff. So he still blocks too high. He still don't know the playbook like he's supposed to. Many times he's late to the party, meaning that when he's supposed to block somebody or shed off of a defensive player to go to the next level, like he's supposed to shed off of that guy because his guy got him, or he double teams a player, and then his next move is he has to slide off that player to go get that linebacker because that running back's following him over there. If you watch the tape, and I watch a ton of tape on the Saints, without Patreon stuff, you can see it. And I pinpoint, I'm like, look, if Penning's late to the party again. But he had a lot of company late to the party because Ruiz was right there with him. But at the end of the day, like I'm saying, man, you don't have forever to date with these guys. If you're going to draft a guy, you got to make sure that he fits with what you got going on. And then you got to get him into your system as soon as possible. You got to give him the game time reps and all that stuff and get him developed and get him in a position to help you right away. You got to do that because these contracts are only for 4 and some of them for 5 years. After that, they're gone. Then you're on to the next one. If you're fortunate, you'll be able to have somebody add to a contract, but you have to be able to get these players in position to win. If you can't do that, then you're going to just be doing what the Saints is doing, is just wasting picks. They're not developing these players. They didn't develop. Well, Davenport kept getting hurt. Pate Turner kept getting hurt. Isaiah Foskey simply is not available insofar as they're not even playing him. He's playing special teams. So I'm saying that because that's the mindset when you get these guys drafted. You have to pick the right guys that mindset, attitude, fit your scheme. And so you can get them acclimated as soon as you can into the team because you're on the clock soon as you start drafting them. You got to get them developed to help the squad. The Saints don't do that. They smash their ass and and a lot of these players are undeveloped. But I'll tell you who is developing fast, the undrafted guys. The undrafted guys are kicking the drafted guys' butt here in the city of New Orleans, in the Saints facility. It's been going like that for a while. Anyway, teams I've talked about putting Chase Young high on overall pecking order in the pass rush free agency market. Part of the allure is there's still big upside there, still only 25. While he spent last offseason idle due to a neck injury recovery, he's completely healthy now and is training vigorously for what he hopes is a breakout season. Expect the Saints to be involved in a potential re-sign, Fowler wrote, right? And we know the Saints have every intention, to sign Chase to a deal because they could have traded him during the trade deadline like they did Lattimore because teams were calling about taking Chase Young. Saints just didn't take the bait. And I'm saying I know this because they don't have anything to replace him right now. Carl Granderson and him makes sense. So the Saints, that's one free agent move I really think they're going to do as soon as they can, is to give him whatever kind of money he's going to make and make him the guy. Because what are your options? You got an old ass Cam Jordan who got 6 sacks in 2 years. You got Isaiah Foskey, you got a half a sack in which going on 3 years. He didn't play. So you don't really have any options. You can draft a guy in the draft, but really, who believes the Saints going to draft a player and develop them well enough where they'll be better than what a Chase Young signing could be? Chase is good to go right now. Just go ahead and sign him, right? That's the thinking. Knowing that the Saints are trying to get a Debo and Young back is a good sign, as those two are likely the most critical free agents for them entering offseason. The latter of the two may be harder signing to make given the positional value and the need for the defensive ends around the league. But if the Saints can put themselves in a good spot to bring back two, it will be hugely beneficial to their future. But the thing is, even though if we do Mickey math, and then they talk about Juwan Johnson here too. He mentioned tight end Juwan Johnson in passing when discussing a potential extension between the Bengals and Mike Gesicki. He did add that Johnson's stock will potentially be bolstered by Gesicki's extension. So Juwan Johnson is also a guy that's in the room to get an extension after having a 50 catch year. What do you do there? So like I said, man, maybe, in terms of the tight end going into the draft, they have a ton of really good, cheap, younger tight ends, because I really want to see the Saints go in there and get them. And they got a bunch of really good ones that you could talk about right now. It's a bunch of really good ones out there, to be honest with you. Obviously, Tyler Warren from Penn State. You got the brother from Bowling Green. You got Mason Taylor from LSU. You got Helm. You have the kid from Miami. There's a bunch of really good tight ends out there, good young tight ends that's athletic, that can really be something positive for your team, right? If you're not going to Juwan Johnson. But out of the Paulson, the Debo, Chase Young, you can look at the Saints really looking at Chase Young, Paulson, the Debo, Juwan Johnson. We'll see how that goes. But if you're using Mickey math, and if you wanted these guys back, he can afford them with the Mickey math, right? The damn Mickey math. All right. Anyway, let's keep it moving, man. Let's go to this one right here. This is right here, the next one right here. Hold on, fam. I'm sorry. I made a mistake here and clicked my screen off here. Let me get that back up here. All right, let's go to this one right here. This is the last one right here. Kind of deal with, if y'all got any questions, please throw them in the chat. I'm gonna hit them up and we're gonna keep it moving. This is the Saints, and this is from the combine stuff we talked about with the black and gold combine formal interviews. Boise State running back. This is who the Saints talked to during the combine. Just a tracker right here for the family members, because it's kind of difficult to keep track of who the Saints talk to. But this is the most comprehensive list that I was able to find in terms of who the Saints talked to during this period, to give you an idea on what they're looking at. Well, they talked to Ashton Jeanty, who's the fantastic running back from Boise State. They met with him. That's in the sources. Ryan Fowler, Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham, which is the best DT in the draft, said he met with the Saints. Josina dropped that. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers met with 10 teams, including the Saints, and he did a little interview there. Penn State tight end Tyler Warren had a formal combine interview with the Saints. Nick Underhill said that Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders met with the Saints at the combine, right? And people were asking me, Q, what do you think about the Saints going after a quarterback or something to that degree? You know, they're going to get a quarterback. If it's one, and I know about the Cam Wards and all that kind of stuff. Let me get through the list and then we'll kind of comment on that. Wide receiver Trey Harris had a formal combine meeting with the Saints. Good wide receiver there. Alabama's safety Malachi Moore. Arizona State Cam Scatterbo, which I like him a lot, had a formal combine interview. Offensive tackle Will Campbell met with the Saints at the combine. He ran a fantastic score. Like I said, he's seen as the best offensive lineman in the draft. I don't think he'll be there when the Saints fall at 9. And there is rumors that the Saints could possibly move up in the draft and go and see if they can get a guy that they like. We'll see how it works, because I don't know. Right now, it's still very early, and I don't have a sense of who they really like, to the point where, hey man, we got to have this player. You you look at the list. Let me see if there's anybody else on the list right here. Yeah, here going more, and this is a part of the all-star circuit. They're saying these are other guys the Saints talk to outside of the combine. Iowa linebacker Nick Jackson met with the Saints at the Hula Bowl. Colorado defensive end B.J. Green II met with the Saints at the Hula Bowl. Louisiana Monroe cornerback Carlin Vigors met with the Saints. Boston College running back Trey Sean Ward also met. So this is a few of these guys, and that was in what they call the all-star circuit. But as far as the combine, these are a current list of players that the Saints have met with. Now, they didn't mention Cam Ward on here, who's the fantastic quarterback from Miami, that there was, some meeting right there with the New Orleans Saints. So that'd be Sanders, Deion's son, and Cam Ward. A lot of people believe Cam Ward is the better of the quarterbacks in between Shedeur and him. And then the third quarterback you talk about is a guy like Jackson. Now, what's his name? Jackson Dart, who, if you want to talk about quarterbacks, the third quarterback, who's the third guy on the board? Like, it's 1 and 2 between Cam and Shedeur. Who's the third guy? Well, Jackson Dart is making a name for himself. A lot of people believe Jackson Dart is that third guy. A lot of people believe he is a second-round quarterback, possibly even sneaking into the back of the first round of the draft. Possibly. And we know that there is some attraction there between the Saints and him. A lot of stuff that they're looking at with that. I don't know if that'll be the move, because we know that there will be a quarterback taking in this draft. There's going to be a quarterback taking. The Saints have been drafting quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Y'all know that, and I know that. They've been drafting damn quarterbacks for the last couple of years. You had the weird pitcher taking Hayner. You had Spencer Rattler last year, because each year the offensive coordinator brings in his own quarterback. So each year the Saints, so if that trend continues, and I expect it does, then there will be a quarterback taken. Whether that'll be Quinn Ewers from Texas, whether that'll be Jackson Dart, he'll be going in the second round if he's not going in the second round. So we'll see what they do, because each year, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse, I like Kyle McCord a lot. Accurate, smart. There's a few other guys out there that could see with Kellen Moore, doing this thing. But like I said, man, it's a lot of talent there. And I don't, if you're the Saints, you're looking at everybody to be the best player option. That's what they're going to lean on, like the best player option, who falls to them there, because they do have a lot of needs, man. So anyway, so that's it, fam. That's what I got for y'all on some of these stories right here. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in this thing as well, man, as we talking black and gold. And it's been just under 2 hours. So y'all do me a service here. Shout out to my dog KT, man. I know KT. KT say he ain't sold on Will. KT does not like Will Campbell, man. He don't like him. He don't like him. He said after the Texas tape. But KT, bro, everybody's not wrong about Will Campbell, bro. I watched Will Campbell play for years down here for LSU. You know this is my squad, man. I'm telling you, Will Campbell is good. Now he got some stuff he got to work on, but he's athletic. He's a blind side tackle with a lot of upside, man. I'm telling you, when a team gets him, they can plug him in for the next 10 years. He's a good one, bro. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He ain't Tony Buselli or nothing. He ain't Tony Buselli. But hell, man, he's pretty good, brother. KT. KT, man. KT don't get a man. Shout out to my brother KT, man. KT gonna be on the stream later on in the week, fam. Y'all be looking. Hey, KT don't like you. He don't like you, man. He was putting up Banks Jr., the tackle from Texas, which is good, but the guy is slotted to be like a guard, man. So KT, if you don't like it, you don't like it, bro. That's how it go, man. What's up, King Blood? How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. Shout out to y'all, man, for being in the stream, man. Much love to the fam. All right. Low, shout out to my brother. Say, hey, Q, my dog said you look like a light-skinned Umar Johnson. What? Oh, no, brother. I don't see Umar Johnson, brother. Nah, me and Dr. Umar don't look crazy. Don't look the same, bro. I gotta say that's a little bit of crazy, brother. I don't know.
I'm trying to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this.
All right, shout out to you, Lo. Appreciate you. KT says, man, let Chase Young walk through this. Never lived up to the hype. He's Jadeveon Clowney 2.0. Damn, KT cutting into him. But nah, this is the thing. Thank you, KT. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Damn.
Picking me up, bringing me back to this run.
What's the options? What are your options? Because the thing is, if it's a 3-4 defense, then there got to be some shifting going on. What are your options? What are you gonna do? If it's a 34 defense, that changes how you approach in terms of your personnel or what you have. You got to shift guys, and some of these guys, not everybody we have on this team is beneficial for a 34 defense. Let's just be honest. So the onus has to move now to, in terms of the Saints, getting that front line together, right? Finding a nose tackle, and that's not Shepard and that's not Saunders. That is not those guys. If you're talking about a 34 look with Bink Saunders as no. Y'all seen what he looked like in a 4-man front? No. You got to get one of those big guys, like a nose tackle. You got to get 2 of them. They got Christian Boyd, who is a big guy, 6'2", 320-something pounds or something like that. But they didn't even play him. They didn't play him like that. They kind of moved him down when they picked up the guy from Washington. Remember, the Saints did trade from the big defensive tackle from Washington. And Boyd just slid down. Like, you drafting Christian Boyd from Northern Iowa, but he was getting some play at first. Then they brought another guy in, and he just slid down, and his development stalled. So what are your options? What are they going to do? Are they going to go in free agent and compete for people tell me, I know GM Kev, shout out to my dog GM Kev, say, hey, Q, why don't we go for Myles Garrett? You really think the Saints have the imagination to go for Myles Garrett? But it's the move, it's how people move. Philly moves like that. Did you see what Washington did by getting their wide receiver Debo? Do you know what that did to the Washington's prospects going forward? That is the behavior of a team that's serious and committed to winning. That is the behavior. When you see stuff like that, when you see people ferociously go after players, that was a serious upgrade to what they had. They had good talent there before, but that puts Washington, that moves them up there. You know what I'm saying? They gave Jaden Daniels another weapon. So I just see what I see and see how people win. And you can see, look at it and see the difference between what they're building and what you got. If you want to compete for some of the better players in the NFL, you got to put your hat in the ring. And how often do you see the Saints doing that? Putting their hat in the ring to compete with these teams that's battling for the NFC. You know, I don't see enough of it from them because we got a dude sitting up there. Oh, you know, hold on now. Yeah, you know what they say about me. I'm overly patient. That's a slick way of saying that he's lazy. He overly patient. Overly patient, man. You believe that guy said that? It's just uncanny. I'm overly patient. I said, oh, I know. All right. Jack says 34 defense shift and Chase Young for sure not getting any sacks. All right. If you're not getting any sacks, what about Cam? You think Cam getting sacks, Jack? Let me know. All right, let me hit some of these questions, man. Y'all got questions. All right, KT says Derek Carr isn't worth the roast beef po' boy, Zapp's potato chips, a fruit punch, big shot. Mickey needs to be slapped into retirement queue. I know, brother. I know you. He better not catch me or catch you or me in the store. That's all I know. I'm flipping over his cart. All right. Mont says, I beg your pardon. Nah, man. I respect Dr. Umar's acumen on some of it. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, man, because a lot of stuff that he says, I don't agree with a lot of stuff. Some stuff I do, but I rarely agree with what everybody says. I got a different approach, because I read just as I ain't gonna say as much as he did, but hell, me and him can have a conversation on some stuff. I promise you that. But I do respect what he got going on, man. It just some other stuff I just don't, All right. Anyway. All right. KT says, Q, can we get that? Yes. Let me see if I got it saved up here. Yeah, I do. Bam. There you go. Shout out to my brother Lou, man. Shout out to my dog Lou. All right. Always keep that on tap, baby. I keep that on tap. Yeah, shout out to Lou, man. That's my dog, man. All right, man. From the Atlanta side. What's up, Linda? She says, keep Kool-Aid and trade the rest of the defense. All right. Yes, indeed. Marley Mall said, oh, okay. Cookies. Yeah, yeah, man. Mad Drummer says, chat away from football. What do y'all think about John Cena turning heel? I don't know about that. I'm not a wrestling guy right there, bro. Yeah, ask me about some boxing stuff, brother. Ask me about the real fighting, brother. I could talk to you about that. I don't know about the wrestling game. All right, Mad Drummer says, Q, what did Dick Gregory said? I don't know, bro. He said a lot of stuff, man. Here
The problem is you trying to talk with your shit and you don't know nothing instead of listening. Huh?
I'm listening.
Okay? No. I get $40,000, nigga, and I dare motherfucker to.
That always gets me. Maul says, I'm still wondering why Kellen Moore took his job to be stuck with Carr. I don't think bro, listen. I don't know what the game plan is because it doesn't make any sense for him to, it doesn't make any sense because most coaches are going to go with their own quarterbacks. You know, you taking it's not like this guy is a first round draft pick quarterback with upside. He's an aging quarterback that's accruing injuries. You know, he gets hurt every year. He checks the ball and down entirely too much. He doesn't read defense as well as he should as a 12-year veteran. He has a lot of flaws, staring people down, and he's just not as accountable as you would want a 12-year veteran making a 12-year veteran quarterback making $150 million. I mean, it's just not a good. It doesn't make sense from that perspective, but you're dealing with Mickey Loomis, and I've said this before. He doesn't have any vision for with a serious winning in New Orleans. He doesn't move like the winners, the movers and shakers move. If you want to be a mover and shaker, you got to move and shake. You can't be standing still talking about, I'm a mover and shaker, baby. You know, now you got to, you gotta move like a mover and shaker to be in that vibe, to be in that energy. You know, you can't be just posted up, talking about you overly confident, overly patient, whatever. No, it's not the same energy. The Saints don't move like Philly. They don't move like Washington. They're not moving like people that want to win or compete at the highest levels in the NFL. You know, they don't draft like that. They don't sign free agents like that. They make up way too many excuses that I just don't like. And they have become losers. They have been justifying losers. Demario Davis got up there talking about the crap that he was talking about. Just talking about faith and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, faith without works is dead, brother. You ain't got no works to be talking about faith. You ain't got nothing. What are you talking about? You know, you don't have anything. And if you talk an individual, I don't want to hear it. I'm talking about from a team perspective. Y'all don't have anything. They're getting paid. So the check says, hey, man, let me just codify them so they can keep paying us. No, you ain't going to do that to us. I'm going to stop you on that. You're not going to turn us and say we're going to have a bunch of lovable losers here. No, I want y'all out of here, man. I want y'all, the moment y'all started making excuses about why y'all losing, I want you out of here. Y'all done, because you're not contributing to a successful team as long as you talking like that and you thinking like that. And the reason why I'm saying that, these guys supposed to be the leaders of the team. Demario Davis ain't bat one goddamn word when the Saints was losing 7 in a straight. He wouldn't say nothing. Nothing. He said nothing. When Dennis Allen threw his team under the bus, he was sitting there smiling and shaking his head the whole damn way. But then after the end of the year with 2 games left before the season is over with, and by the way, they went on a 4-game losing streak, the end of the year, then he wants to come out and start talking about faith. Man, shut up, man. We don't want to hear that. You have no works with that faith. Faith without works is dead. It does not happen. It don't work. Miss me. And Cam Jordan did the same thing during Super Bowl week when he was sitting there cheesing up, eyes bucking, making excuses for the Saints. I don't want to hear this. The moment y'all start doing that, you got to go. We only want winners here with winning philosophies, and winners don't put up with this. Winners and team leaders, real leaders, not these fake ass leaders, will actually get up there and hold their team to a standard of accountability and winning. I'm talking facts. These guys are not doing that. They're not doing that. And these supposed to be leaders. These are nobody's leaders. They're not leading anything. They're not winning. They're not doing anything. So you have to go. That's the bottom line, man. I don't want to hear all of this other crap, all this other garbage, man. Miss me with that. And y'all collecting checks. Get out of here with that. Keep on, just believe. Just be a bunch of morons and chumps and believe these people. No. I'm going to take what you do, your actions, over your damn words. That's what I'm looking at. Your actions. I look at Mickey's actions. I look at Gail's. I look at all these people's actions or their inactivity. And that's what I hold them to. That is the paperwork game you build up on these guys. These guys have become losers, lovable losers, and we don't want lovable losers here. We want you gone. We want you out of here. We want to win, and unless you understand that, then it's nothing else to talk about. We're not paying for losers. We're not paying you for excuses. We're paying you to perform. And if you lose because you went out there and showed out and the other team won it and y'all barely lost the game, we can live with that result because we see you gave it a hearty effort. But if there's anything else that some of these blowout losses and all this other crap, y'all can all go, man. That's what it is. Fam, listen, this ain't nothing new than what we experienced in the past. During the Jim Haslett years when Tom Benson was still alive and he was trying to get the city and the state to pay for a brand new stadium for him to make money with. The team garbage and trash, and he's sitting up there trying to push and threaten them to threaten the area to build him a stadium and threaten to take, if y'all don't do this, I'm going to take the team to San Antonio. We're going to play out at the Alamo Dome. That was his game plan. He never was going to do that, but because he didn't want to do that, but he was just using it as a leverage thing to do it while he was telling the people in San Antonio that it was a possibility that we can move that team there. He didn't want to do that, but he was playing the game. Could have ended badly because the people was telling, man, you could take this team and shove it up, you know where. That's what they were saying. And saying the politicians, don't y'all dare do nothing for them. They ain't doing nothing. What changed was Katrina came and it destroyed the Superdome, and that brought in the funds that they needed to then do what they've been doing over the last several years, including some of the last renovations, $250,000 leg of it, because they rolled out $250,000. Was a $270 million incremental renovation plans over the last several years, and I think this was one of the last ones they just completed, where they would start putting holes in the roofs and pulling out the old escalators, putting steps, and adding all this other stuff in there so they can make money. I said, what good is you doing all that with spending all that money on a building that you don't own to make money off from us, and you're not putting a product on the field that's even respectable? This is business. We're talking economics here. We're not going to pay for bad. We don't do that. But that is the relationship between you and them. There is a relationship, and they have to respect your mind because they can't come and force the money out of your hands. But we did this before when we made them get on code to start winning. When Benson, you go back to the days of Jim Finks a long time ago, they didn't want to pay for these free agents, and the people was like putting the bags on and all this kind of stuff, and really went hard at the Saints. They really went hard. They put the bags on at first. They didn't listen to that. Then they started not showing up. Then the Saints they started getting sense and started adding better players and being more serious about it. So it's a cycle. We're at that point again where they got big, fat, and extremely rich since that Super Bowl. They made a ton of money since that last Super Bowl. The franchise exploded in terms of value from that point moving forward. And ever since then, they have not competed on a stage at that level where they need to even get up there. They've just been living off that rep for all of these years, and enough of that. I'm sick of that. They had teams that done went to the Super Bowl, teams that done won the Super Bowl. Philly done won the Super Bowl, twice in the last several years? And we so happy about one trophy sitting up there. Man, no, none of this lovable loser crap, man. I'm done with that. L-Dub says, Q, I thought the team showed phenomenal. Yeah, that's right, man. Can I tell y'all? We showed phenomenal effort. The Saints was all, hold on. It was all, we got rolled up like tumbleweed. But let me tell you something. We showed phenomenal effort. Shut up. What are you talking about? That's another that loser speak, man. You don't say that. Tell the truth. If the player screwed up, say the player screwed up. What's wrong with these guys? If they screwed up, you screwed up. If you failed because you wasn't prepared, that's on you. Just tell the truth. Yeah, we got phenomenal effort. We got it. I just love on the players. I just love my players. We just respect them. I just love the players. They getting their brains beat out there. I just love the players. Hey, Rizzy, what about the family members that support the show? Oh, the hell with them. I just said that. I'm get out of here. Tired of this, man. I'm sick of this, man. Ain't y'all tired of all of this, man? Come on, man. We need to do better than this, man. Brother James, shout out to you. Said, what's good, Q? I know some of the, he said some startled by the Carr situation, but it was lose either way. So I understand it. The flip side, though, Q, I think more is going to surprise his ass, make him earn it. What you say? Not surprised by the Carr situation, Brother James, man. I agree with that. I'm not surprised by the Carr situation, meaning that the Saints electing to keep him. Not surprised at all, right? Because I have such a low value thought in terms of what about the Saints and how they conduct business, because it's still Mickey Loomis running the team. And we know his flaws and he doesn't want to change anything. He think he has the correct plan of action. Despite the fact that it has failed wretchedly, he still arrogantly and ignorantly sticks to this really this unproductive plan. But in terms of the Carr situation, man, there are other quarterbacks either via trade or free agency the Saints could reach to. The common thought process is when you bring in a new coach, the coach is allowed to pick his own quarterback. Now, whether that'll be somebody he gets in a draft or however the case may be, but if you have a old team and the youngest coach in the NFL taking over the oldest team, you have to kind of allow him to draft the team and make his own personnel. And there was a point of contention when the Saints initially spoke with Kellen Moore. His thought process was about the quarterback position. We all knew it. Even what's the boy from ESPN? What's his name? I see his face. I can't. Orlovsky, Dan Orlovsky. He even said that. He congratulated Kellen Moore and then said, "Now go get your quarterback." You knew Derek Carr ain't it, man. He ain't it unless you, like I said, and I always say, fam, y'all know it, unless he has what? A power running attack where the Saints are just barreling through defenses, running the football, and he's into play action, then you got somebody there. But Derek Carr is to me, it just seemed like he's not getting any better as a quarterback. I'm sorry. He gets hurt a lot, and he started his first year. He actually started off, the second year with what's his face. He started off under Kubiak's system actually pretty good until the NFL figured it out. It wasn't the fact that injury started hitting the Saints. No, it was deeper than that. The NFL got enough tape, 2 games worth of tape on the Saints offense that Kubiak was running, and they made adjustments and just cut them in half. And then for the rest of the year, the Saints could not get anywhere near what they did that first year. It wasn't all tied to injuries. The NFL, that's how it works. They decipher you, they break you down, they put you in a petri dish, and they see what you're doing. Then they take this away from you and see how you adapt and change. Kyle, the thing with Clint Kubiak is he's a shitty adjuster. And I pinpointed, I said, fam, this guy doesn't adjust well. He over relies on players. He has his imagination is lacking. Once you take this and this away from him, he's lost. And he's basically going from job to job off the rep of his dad. That's pretty much what this is. Until you break him down, and out there, Seattle Seahawk people out there, y'all better hear me. Because you got the same people we had down, the exact same cats running y'all offense. You got Kubiak, you got Dennison, they got John Benton. You got the same dudes up there that the Saints had down here running that. That dude, that whole year, that guy did not adjust. He didn't even know how to use his personnel outside of the main guys like Elvin and Taysom. He over-relied on Taysom to the point where Taysom was getting too many reps and Taysom kept getting hurt. You think that idiot did anything about it? He didn't adjust to nothing. He just kept doing it. And then it's this dull nature of his at times. Like, you have to have some fire in your blood, man. He a little too dull at times. You got to get fired up, and you have to adjust in the NFL. You got to adjust, and that guy did not adjust, man. So when, like I said, that first 2 games, when they had enough tape on the Saints, they just turned it off. Everything got turned off. It just got turned off. That's what they do in the NFL. They take things away from you, and you got to know how to adjust. But not surprised about the Derek Carr thing. About Kellen Moore making Derek Carr earn this money. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Because when Kubiak came here last year, he did something that Pete the Rat Carmichael couldn't do. And that's speed Carr up. No pun intended. Pun intended, all right. Speed him up. Make him process faster because he was processing too slow. He was taking too long to read what was going on. He does, and this is the thing. Carr quarterback talk based on tape. Tape is king. He processing speed in terms of what he's looking at is too slow. He doesn't have an internal clock inside of his head, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You have a timing mechanism built inside of your head as a quarterback. Drew Brees spoke about this all the time. You don't have to be Drew Brees to practice it, but you got to have a clock to understand that these guys can't block forever and that the offense is operated on time principles, which means, you have to look around and see everything. He doesn't have that clock. So that's where you seen Kubiak talking about we got to speed him up. We got to make him faster because he takes too long to read. Then he has real bad habits. He gets stuck on the side of he's stuck on either side of the field. He'll turn and look and then get stuck over there. And then if he wants to throw over there, he doesn't pump fake to the other side to throw over there. He just looks and throws and it's a pick. Or he doesn't see the field properly and he just checks it down automatically. That's why he has 67% accuracy rate or whatever the case may be, 64, 65, 60, whatever it is. He checks the ball down 6 or 7 times a game. This is facts, man. I done broke this guy down because he's not complicated. It's not complicated to break down Derek Carr. You just have to study tape and have a memory. So 12 years, these type of bad habits, bro. Oh, no. Why would I need that when I can get a rookie-ass quarterback, bro, that's doing that kind of stuff and still, at least he'll have a ceiling when I can be able to change what he's doing and say, hey, man, you can't do that. That guy been doing that for 12 years. So, I mean, that's my criticism on Carr. The only way you win with Carr is you have a strong running back, running attack, and he's a secondary option to your running attack. You put him in the play action. That's when you'll have success. Unless they're doing that, I don't see why you would keep him. Because the price tag, he's making more money than anybody. The guy has an annual number of what, $30 million on a year? Even from a contract standpoint, that doesn't make sense for him to still even be here. But as long as you have Mickey Loomis running this team, this is what you get. So that's why I make fun of him and pick at him and all this kind of stuff, because Mickey's a fool. He's an idiot. You don't make any, this is not how you going to win. The guy is his statistics does not, just like the man said about Cam Jordan's 6 sacks in 2 years or 5 sacks, whatever it is, 2 years, 6 sacks, 5 sacks, whatever it is. That don't justify you paying Cam Jordan, what, $12 million over 13, whatever the hell it is, 14, whatever it is. Don't make any sense. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Paying Derek Carr $30 million this year and $50 million next year doesn't make any sense unless he's a top 3 passer in the NFL. Like, his numbers are way up there. Paying him for what kind of statistics that he's producing right now is laughable, to be honest with you. But that's my take on it, bro. I think that if you're going to bring Kellen Moore in here and he's a rookie head coach, you need to let him find his own quarterback and not staple him or tie him to a guy that's been here for 2 years and losing. Just get him on up out of here post June 1st, cut him, trade him, whatever you got to do, and let him find another quarterback, whether it's through the draft or whether it's through free agency with it, or trade in free agency, the backup quarterback for Detroit or whatever you can do. Just get somebody else, right? Thank you, James. Rich says, trust the process, Q&D, brother.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Trust the process. All right, thank you, Rich. Appreciate that. Yeah. No, the saying is, what did Mickey Loomis say? You got to look beyond the results. You got to look beyond the results there, Q. I know we're screwing up. I know we stink, but you got to look beyond the results. Hold on now. LM says, Q, is the special teams coach Geraldo going to have the same roster so that Rizzi had over the same? Oh, you mean Galliano, Coach Galliano? He has some of those guys, but he still has JT Gray. He got a few guys there, bro. And plus, Phil Galliano is actually a pretty decent coach, man. So I don't anticipate it being any much like a great drop off in special teams play. Phil Galliano is ready for the role, so I think we'll be all right in that respect. Mont says, yeah, but remember the offense Carr ran under Pete was supposedly a version that Gruden came in as a consultant and helped him install so he could be more comfortable, and that's why the receivers struggled. Well, all I seen with his first year, bro, Gruden came in for 2 practices, if I'm not mistaken, right? 2 practices. Do we really think that that's enough for Derek Carr to get comfortable with what we seen? And in that first year, he wasn't. And then the thing about it with Pete Carmichael, he is a beta male. So a lot of his instruction was really weak. You know, he had Sean Payton's system in his head, but he did not have the force or the temperament to operate it. Like Sean Payton is great at what he does because not only is he intelligent in the system that he's running, but he also has a alpha mentality. Like he forces guys that like when Cam Jordan said when Sean Payton was in the building, everybody was on eggshells. That's his verbiage. That's his words, verbatim. Everybody wanted, why everybody on eggshells with Sean Payton? Because Sean Payton was Mr. Accountability. He was the one that made sure guys did what they're supposed to do. And if they didn't do it, it was hell to pay. You know, we didn't have that with none of these other guys. People, we forget that a leader, when your true leader is there, a true leader is going to make sure that he stays on code. Therefore, he leads by his own codeness or her own code, whatever people might be. If you have a situation that's set where you have an accountable person, they're going to lead by their actions. And as a result of that, then people will listen to them based upon how they lead, because with the words that come out based on the actions, they're living in truth. And you see that living in truth. You can see the results of people living in truth because they walk in it and talking it. They talking it, they walk in it. They're in sync, they're in unison. They're not hypocritical. They're not a bunch of fakes and frauds operating, telling you to do something. And this guy over here missing tackles, he dropping passes and every damn thing. How this guy gonna tell another guy something? The truth is he can't. You know, the guy gonna tell you what you talking about. You just missed that block over there. That guy knocked the piss out of our quarterback. You trying to tell me what to do? You see what I'm saying? Is accountability. That's the most accountable individuals are the leaders on your team, or should be the leaders, not some guy because he made a ton of money or he got a few accolades here or there. No, it has to be accountability leads the day in any area or any business or anything you take on. Accountability has to be there for success to stay there, because that follows there. If you're accountable, then that person keeps everybody accountable. It's a perfect movement. So, you know, that's what I've seen with a lot of stuff with Sean Payton. The Saints are soft. They hadn't had that. Like look at the temperament the Saints had in the running attack last year. They were just going through the motions. When they were messing up, did John Benton get over there and berate those guys for that? He didn't do none of that. They just allowed them to continue to fail. Then made excuses for him when the season was over with. Me personally, I seen all that and I said, man, hold on. That's not what happened. I challenge all of that. You have to have, for people that play football before, they understand, they know that if you're going to be a blocking, like an offensive lineman or whatnot, and I play linebacker. So if you play against some linemen, they had a nasty disposition, which means you had to have an attitude to run the football. And the attitude was, I'm going to push you over. I'm going to maul you. I'm going to pancake you. How dare you stand in front of me while I'm trying to do my job? You are in my way, sir, and I will remove you. That's the mentality, and the saying it kind of on the censor side of things, because it get real nasty in the trenches. But at the end of the day, that's the mentality. You can't be some guys, Saints, going through the motions. The backups come in, they were dumb, they were weak, didn't know how to run block, and the Saints didn't say, you know what, you're dumb and you're weak, you got to go. We need somebody in here that know how to do their job. Nope, they just kept rolling the same guys out there. They just kept rolling. You can't do that. You can't do that. If you see these guys are not prepared, you either check the coaches or you check the players, or both. That's accountability. You can't do with that, then you got to go, man. We trying to win you. And then the thing is, ultimately, if you want to beat teams that's on that level, these guys have these championship teams, the teams that's at the top, they have a high degree of intelligence, accountability, and a ton of other things that you need to be at that level. You're not just going to get up there accidentally and wake up and all of a sudden we're a contender. champions don't make excuses, regardless of whatever it is. They don't make excuses for failure. They don't. They don't make excuses for failure. They don't do it. They don't do it. Drummer says, Q, say we can get a QB free agency. Who you realistically think we get? I mean, bro, if they move Carr and make some more moves, they can trade for somebody. Like in free agency, they could trade for somebody, or they can sign a guy that, you know, whoever Kellen Moore feels like he fits to help them. You know, in the draft, if they want to, they can accrue picks and put them together to move up in the draft to get a quarterback that they like. But I'm saying, what the point of what I'm saying is that it ain't Carr. It's not Carr. Let's just be honest. People telling me, Q, that's the best chance we have to win is with Derek Carr. In what world? What are you basing that on? People telling me that, but I'm asking the question. I'm challenging your comment. Tell me why you think that. Are you even you're looking at the trade market, or where you can trade for quarterbacks and backups or whoever, or the quarterbacks in free agency, or the ones in the draft? How do you know that he's the main reason why he's the best option? It's too early in the process to even think like that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm keeping all options open because I know for a fact how this can end. All I've seen from Derek Carr is mediocre QB play, to be honest with you, and a lot of injuries over the last 2 years. A new system, a new offensive system is in there for him to learn again, which means that he'll end up having to do another reset. So like I said, why reset with an old quarterback who is not getting any better? He's not getting any better. I ain't no disrespect to him, but tape-wise, he's not getting any better. He's not. And he costs too much money, and we can't afford him. How about that one? We can't afford the man, bro. Let's just get him on up out of here. Doc Savage says, how you feeling about Tyler Saw from Louisville? I'm going to have to look up some tape on him, my brother. I don't know enough to comment on that one, man. I will. On the next show, bro, I'm gonna take a look at him and I'll get back with you, Doc Savage. Appreciate you on that. All right, L-Dub says, even Mark Ingram said that too. Yes, Mark Ingram. Yeah, Doc says, like the Pelicans, it's the same thing. We do the Pelican post-game report. The whole thing is the same stuff over and over again because it's the same people. They run the same stuff. You got tens of millions of dollars that is going through billions of dollars through the Saints and the Pelicans' hands. You mean to tell me they can't find the top-notch medical staff and pay these people money to turn all this around? I mean, if money is the thing, they have it. You can hire the best doctors in the world to fix these medical problems in here. It's levels to this. They could hire the best doctors in the world to fix this medical stuff, fam. We know there are levels to doctors. Not all doctors are created equal. Y'all know that. But you have tens of millions to billions of dollars. You can easily afford to go find the best medical personnel out there. They can do it easily, but they choose not to do it, but sit up and blame injuries for everything, despite the fact that they have tens of millions to billions of dollars to fix it. You know, that's all I'm saying. I'm tired of hearing the injuries situation every year. He blames injuries all day. Griffin, Loomis, every year they blame injuries, while sitting in front of a banner with Ashna Hospital on it. I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me, but it's just a cop-out. KB, shout out to you, baby. Good to see you. Desi, the Queens are in the building. Desi says there's no accountability. Hopefully this changes with the new coaching staff. I'm with you on that. Let's see what they can do. Tyrell says, I remember Carr trying to yell at his teammates. That he did a lot of that too. When he was the one messing up, remember him and McCoy getting into a dude was about to slap the guy liner. I ain't never seen McCoy that hot and heated at his own people. Because Carr is one of the coolest dudes, you know, you got to literally fuss at McCoy to get bucked up, you know. But he was about to go at Carr. And who was it that got in? Lucas Patrick got in between them. Boy, Lucas, you need to buy Lucas a car because McCoy would have rolled him up, man. He would have rolled him up. He was going after him too. But Carr did that a lot last year. He fussing at players, and notice the responses that the players gave Carr when he did that. It wasn't respect that he did that. He later apologized for it, but he did not command the respect of his players look at the reaction that happened from that. Because a lot of times they knew who was at fault. And that guy has a major accountability problem. People don't talk about this. These media people don't talk about that, man. They just want to sit up here and say, well, this, that, and the third. And I'm telling y'all the honest truth. This is real deal spiel about Derek Carr. I mean, he has an accountability issue. He really does. The hospital ball to Chris Olave. You remember what he said after the game? That he wasn't at fault for it. I'm like, who at fault for it? You. It was only two people in the whole deal. It was you that threw it and the other guy that caught it. So it ain't my damn fault. I got better sense to throw that ball up that high, and they got safeties in that area there. You know, even Steve Smith said that. Steve Smith, the fantastic wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers season. Cam Newton and all those guys spoke about that. I mean, they know, man. Come on, man. You remember what he said? I don't have time for that, man. You can't be a leader of a football team if you can't take responsibility for any of that stuff, man. That's all. He has accountability. He's going to learn that in year 12. Who that dad? A shout out to you, my brother. I appreciate you, man. Much love to you, bro. Appreciate y'all. All right. Jack says we need Doc to run the draft too. LM says Chase Young is too slow for 3-4. Saints need to do work and find a cast off that pays dividends. KT says, Q, do you see Porter go off the combine 6'2", one from Iowa State? Yeah, I did see that footage on that, man. It kind of pushed him up there too. It elevated his stock a bit. But anytime, bro, that's the thing though. Anytime you are, and we talked about it on the cornerback breakdown on Patreon, is that anytime you have a tall cornerback with a top 40 time, they're gonna look at him, because that's like it's the prototype, right? Because you have all of these bigger physical wide receivers, and they averaging what, 6'3", 6'4". You know, you got big physical wide receivers. You got to have big physical cornerbacks to cover these big physical wide receivers. So if you got a 6'2", 200-pound corner that's running a 4.33 and a 40, that's going to kind of put his stock up there. You know what I mean? That's just a part of the game. Thank you for that, KT. All right, Doc Savage says, to me, his credit, which is very different to say, LOL, they didn't believe ML. Doc says, still a chance things change. It is always things change, but it's based on the decisions the Saints make in terms of how they deal with improving the team. That's my spiel on it. I mean, they continue. The thing is, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, looking for a different result. It's just my point. You got that? You have to change it up. And I'm not just talking about changing the quarterback. You have to change the dynamic of the team, how it's ran, because it was ran. We don't want to do the same stuff we did the last 4 years. It led to failure. You know, I don't want to repeat the same steps that we made the last 4 years, because it was failure. I don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again, leading to failure. You know, we know what it was. You know, I haven't forgotten how they did it. You know, the mistakes that have made. I'm not saying they need to be perfect. Well, you got to make more intelligent decisions in terms of building a football team. We have to be more aggressive, because there's some of these other teams out here you're competing against are going to be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. You can't sit back like you got it figured out. You can't do that. We have to be able to put a plan together and stick to it. L-Dub says, I even see people defending Carr about him not loving the city when people was popping up Jameis and being out about in the city during Mardi Gras. You got people that like Derek Carr. Derek Carr as a player, a person, you know, is a likable guy, right? He's a likable guy. So people are not delineating between player and person. You get what I'm saying? You know, if you make a serious and smart criticism like I just made about Derek Carr's playing ability and some of the things he make, people say, well, Q doesn't like Carr. That's the people. That's how they think. You know, but there's not a line of demarcation where you break up one from the other. What he is as a player is something different than what he is as a person. We're talking about Carr, the player, not the person. They can't differentiate between the two. That's the problem. When I talk about Carr, the player, I give you stats and I can show you film. I can show you all this about Derek Carr that they can't dispute. But then with no commentary, they will say, well, you just don't like Carr, the person. I don't have any problem with Carr the person. The player is an issue. His playing is a problem. Doc says, imagine Mahomes not wanting anything to do with KC. Doc says people would be rioting. I don't think it's different, right? If you making a Carr to Mahomes comparison in terms of love for the city, I mean, it's the reason why KC love Mahomes. He gave them a reason to, right? He gave them a reason to. He gave them a reason to love him. And that is the winning, the championships. That's how you earn respect. Everybody respects and love a champion. That's the thing. You notice that champions, people have a love and a high respect for champions. You know, a guy that hadn't won anything can't stand and say that, hey man, I want the same adulation that this other guy that's a champion gets. You hadn't done anything to earn that. You know, so, you know, that's how I look at it, man. He hadn't done anything. Not down here. Maybe for the Raiders, he won a bunch of their stuff, but his accolades, what he did, all the records he did in Raider land don't have nothing to do with us. We don't care about that. Not in the slightest. KT says, Siobhan Ravel, Darian Porter, Denzel Burke, Jade Barone, Zai Alexander. I seen Zai. Zai really turned it up. And I don't even think that was even documented that he had the second attempt where he just tore it up. I think that was unofficial. Trey Amos, young cornerbacks that we should draft. Yeah, we'd be fortunate to get at least two of those guys. Mont says Rattler represented the Saints in the city during the Super Bowl week, and that clown Carr couldn't be bothered. Well, Carr is he wanted to be with his family. Brian mad at him. Doc says the person who shows up and puts in work should be the leader. Respectfully. Carr doesn't. Yeah, I got you on that. He says, yeah, I hear you on that, bro. I mean, all that's fair criticism, bro. Drummer said, I mean, he won 14 of 34 games. Come on. What has he done for me? I agree. I mean, the man, he got a lot of work to do, bro. You can't. And I said, New Orleans is a tough place, and I'm about to get on the body, but New Orleans is a tough place to win because, number one, we don't want to hear all that talking. We're not paying you for all that talking. Just come down here, you know, put in work, study as long as you need to, get it together. And that's for coaches and players. But you're not going to talk your way into people liking you down here. It's not going to work. We don't like that at all. David Griffin is one of a main reason. He's the vice president of the Pelicans, and he does a lot of talking, and we stay chopping him up because he's full of it. We shut all that down, all that basketball cult nonsense, and you know, I want, you know, a family of ball players and all that. Shut up. Guys will become a family, or they'll be cool with each other when the winning puts them to that factor. When you're hustling and when you working together and you doing like that, then you can build a family based on winning, not losing. We don't need lovable losers. They like each other, but they losing and they smiling. Man, y'all lost the will to win. If you losing, you're not happy. Not if you're a winner. You know what I'm saying? If you got a team-based sport and the game is to win in an ultra-competitive professional landscape in terms of sport, who gonna tolerate losing for long? It's not gonna work. That's why they get paid a lot of money, because people are not going to allow you to lose forever. You know, it's not gonna work like that. You know, lovable losers don't have no place down here. That's right. Doc says, yes, quit yapping and start winning. That's what it is. That's a shirt, bro. That's a shirt. That's a shirt. That is a shirt. Willie says Carr, the player sucks. 77 and 93 record, never won a playoff game, 12 years been playing, lost 31 of 32 games in NFL teams except to the Raiders. He's a loser, point blank. Only way Derek Carr wins, bro, you got to put him in a play action. That's at this stage with 12 years in, that's just what you can't trust. I don't trust him to read defenses because he don't do it well. Like I said, it's just too much money for a guy like that, fam. Yeah, that's a good shirt there. Drummer says, Q, let me ask you this. Do you think draft is deep, or are we just as a family base looking for great young talent, so we're doing our own scouting? I think the draft has talent, bro. Every draft has talent, depending on what you're looking for. Because You're gonna always find great players. You're gonna always find, especially if you those players are there. Think about this: when the draft is over with, the Saints land these undrafted guys, and they come in here and they work their way up to be starters. All that's telling you that the undrafted guys are the guys that fell through the cracks of the draft. And the Saints are littered and loaded with those guys: Carl Granderson, Jawan Johnson, Rashid Shaheed, so on and so forth. These guys, some of these guys are top-notch players that make a really good money. Rashid was a Pro Bowler. JT Gray was a Pro Bowler, all undrafted. So that shows you right there that the talent is there based on if you're a good evaluator of talent and you know what you're looking for. If you got a player that's a fit. You done did all the research, the homework. If what this guy could do for you, and that you can get him acclimated into your system as soon as possible. The talent has always been there. It's based on the talent evaluator. If he knows his game, he's on code, he knows how to operate, he knows, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? But the talent's always there, bro. They got a lot of really solid players in this draft, man, that could really help the Saints. But once again, it falls on the talent evaluator. The talent is there. Every year we get undrafted guys. That tell me right there that they got talent in the draft when guys can climb up as undrafted to starters and get starter money and outplay the drafted guys. Hell yeah, there's a ton of talent out there. All right. Yeah, that's right. Group A too. Blake Group A was an undrafted kicker who's been kicking for the Saints and doing a good job. Hell, your punter that the Saints got, he was an undrafted guy. So yeah, the Saints, that's how the Saints do it. They hit on the undrafted guys. They're super cheap. And then they pay 4 or 5 or 6 guys big time money like Carr, Cam, Tyrann, Demario, these type of guys. Taysom. They pay 6, 7, 8 guys all this money, and then the rest of the guys are undrafted guys that's working on their first undrafted contracts. You get what I'm saying? That's how the game goes. Yes. All right, let's get one more from Brother James. I think more going to get a QB similar to Hurts' skill via trade or free agency will be Rattler, Carr, and said QB. He will get maybe 2 or more solid off weapons and start to stack the defense. The D starts with the defense. Okay, thank you, Brother James. Appreciate that, man. We'll see, bro. I hope you're right. All right, yes. All right, yeah. It's just the truth. Inevitable says Carr needs everything to be perfect around him. That's true. Brother Hakeem said that. He can't carry a team. His footwork is big time awful too. And listen, you're not hating on Derek Carr. They say, man, it's Derek Carr. They hating on Carr. No. Listen, that's not true. That's not hate. I can tell you who was doing that. Clint Kubiak was basically saying that. If you go back and listen to Clint Kubiak's training camp interviews, some of the first ones when he was talking about Derek Carr when they were in training camp, he talked about his footwork was, about improving his footwork. He talked about his timing. He talked about him. It basically like the top 3 things that a veteran quarterback should know how to do and do it well. His footwork was off, his timing was off, and then him reading the defenses, he needed to speed it up. That was the top 3 things that Clint Kubiak talked about when he was in training camp, when he was working with Derek Carr. But when you people hear that, this is the receipts, fam. Clint Kubiak was saying that. That's what he was working with Carr. He's too slow. He doesn't read the defenses fast enough. His footwork is off, right? And they talked about that. And that's what he was working on. He mentioned other things, but that's your receipts right there. That's your receipts. All right. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. I hope y'all had a good time. I had a good time. 2.5 hours. I was trying to do just maybe an hour and 30 minutes, but talking about just having fun with you guys in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all for being here. Please do me a service and hit the like button as well. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. Sub up, share the show on your social media feed, share the links. And shout out to our sponsors, man. Mint Mobile. If you guys need some cell phone service, save some money on the cell phone service, check out Mint Mobile. The link is in the description section below. Teach Henley, skin care products for the brethren. If y'all guys kind of want to get away from that reptile skin, start getting that skin game together, baby. So the ladies kind of pay attention to you, baby. So you get chose on. Get your Teach Henley. Get your Teach Henley, baby. So you get chose on, baby. All right, in the Bet Online, man, y'all know what that's about. Y'all check them out. The links in the description section below, as long as other links to our merch stores and all that other gravy stuff, the whothatdaily.com for our contributorship. Y'all know that helps the sharing of the articles on whothatdaily.com helps out with our contributorship and our great writers and all that kind of gravy stuff that we got going on. And it's going to be fun, man, coming into this season, man. And of course, we're going to be here to cover it. I'll be back later on in the week, man. We'll start talking more about the prospects. We got KT will be popping in on the stream to kind of drop game on some of these people. We'll talk about that. Also, my first mock draft will be rolling out soon, fam. I've been kind of saving it. I got a mock draft that'll be coming out tomorrow on the Patreon show. We're going to have one of them. And I'll have one later on in the week as well for the family. But the first one will be coming up on Patreon Tuesday. So with that being said, man, if y'all want to help out the stream, you can also become members of the YouTube channel, or you can go to patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. It helps out the platform, and it's just all gravy. It's all a good thing for us as we keep keeping it real and carrying this thing forward. So with that being said, man, y'all have a fantastic rest of your night, man, and y'all have a fantastic rest of your week, man. And I'll see y'all later on. Much love. Who that to you? Peace. I'm out.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, brother like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.